me something!
There we go. All right.
Is it recording?
Yep, it's recording.
The
voice you just did, Callum, the voice you just did where you were like, why didn't it show me something? You sounded like the fucking Green Goblin. The heart, Osborn! Show me the heart!
Finish it! Finish the Clone Wars! That's exactly what we told Disney. Finish the Clone Wars!
I could even make for decent Willem Dafoe. Just give me some wrinkles and I'm away. Like, anyway,
Welcome to Disney+Pals.
Last time on Disney+Pals, Neil complained about Kennedy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars being an absolute drag.
Actually, through the Owl House.
We also did that too. That exists. We did many other things, and now we are anticipating Brooks's choice, the finale of Clone Wars. And now we transition to this part. Yes.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Just want to ruin your narration one more time here to say I really liked Owl House. That's it.
Neil said he really liked Owl House.
Yeah, I ruined your narration to say that.
The Tom Kane tribute was appreciated, though.
Yeah.
Okay. But welcome everybody to Disney+Pals. I'm joined by Callum, Jack, and Squid, and today is Squid's choice, which will be the final 4 episodes of Star Wars Clone Wars, which is the
Siege of Mandalore.
Well, it's not just the Siege of Mandalore. It's also like the fucking Order 66 arc. It's the fucking the fucking How Did Ahsoka Live arc.
The arc as
And
a whole.
also, but the fucking how Captain Rex would he commit Order 66 arc, or what happened to what happened to Bives? Did he die in vain arc?
The conclusion of Clone Wars.
Let's not forget that Obi-Wan basically did nothing in these episodes arc.
He was busy with Revenge of the Sith going on.
yeah,
Give him a bit of leeway there.
First, but then
Doing a movie on the side.
The less interesting of the two, yeah.
What this team should do, they should just reanimate the entire prequel series just in the Clone Wars style. That would make everyone happy.
Wait, did you say that Obi-Wan's less interesting of Anakin than Obi-Wan? What did you say by the less interesting of the two?
Oh, I said that this arc is more interesting than Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, I almost thought you actually thought that Obi-Wan was
Revenge of
less
the Sith,
interesting
Jack.
than Anakin.
We're gonna battle on a
I
lava
also
ring.
enjoy it. I just enjoy this more. It's Star Wars. Everyone's gonna disagree on everything. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it's been since 1999.
That's kind of been how it's been since, like, fun fact, when Empire Strikes Back came out, people did not like it at first.
Wow.
People, yeah.
Repeating it.
And
Well,
Ryan
people
Johnson used
like
that as an
it.
excuse to make people think that The Last Jedi would be as beloved as Empire Strikes Back, which he'll
Well,
not.
everybody
I
forgets
like
this.
The Last Jedi.
I also like The Last Jedi. Hold on. Everybody forgets this. But when Empire Strikes Back first came out, people actually hated it because it changed so much. Everybody wanted Princess Leia to end up with Luke because they didn't know that they were brother and sister yet. So when she ended up with Han, people didn't like that. They thought the Darth Vader thing was out of nowhere. People did not like it at first. Because it, like, messed their expectations. Like Last Jedi. I'm just saying, history is kind of probably going to repeat itself there.
Those who don't learn from history are failed to repeat it.
You and me and a lot of people disagree with you, but let's not bash each other's heads like a lot of people do online about it. Let's just be more civilized.
Yes. We're talking about the beloved Star Wars right now.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, before we even get into this, before we even ask Brooke why he picked this, I just want to start by giving a firm congratulations, because as of yesterday, a Mr. Dave Filoni got a little promotion. Now, I could go into the specifics of what this promotion is, but basically, he's the new Kevin Feige now. He is Star Wars Kevin Feige. He's going to have a lot more power and control over Star Wars moving forward.
He has control over the Senate. He's too dangerous to be left alive.
No, that's the president right now.
To interject, it was just announced at time of recording. Hello, everyone watching this in the future, because that's how this works.
Yeah.
It was announced because they updated the website. He actually got the promotion like last year. We're only now hearing about it.
Yeah, we're only now discovering it, but you could kind of tell. You could kind of tell by how everything was, good.
Yeah. Strange that, isn't it?
Dave Filoni is the lead of the Star Wars, behind the scenes, I guess, because Dave Filoni is pretty much in the. How do you describe him compared to George Lucas?
He's George Lucas' heir.
Thank you. Yes.
Doing a bit better than George Lucas as well.
Heir might not be the right word. I would say successor.
Successor, Padawan, heir, doesn't really matter.
Padawan, that's what we're going with, yeah.
Or apprentice. There's only always two there are. A master and apprentice.
I think this was
destroyed.
I think this was definitely earned because, of course, Dave Filoni started, I believe he started here with Clone Wars.
Yes.
And, this show became so beloved. He got his hands on Mandalorian. Again, another beloved thing. Honestly, it kind of earned it. That episode, I think it's episode 9 of Mandalorian Season 2, the one with Brad Burr, where they're talking about, ethics in the world of Star Wars, and I'm just like, shit. This is really good.
Yeah, and actually, Dave Filoni has a great understanding of Star Wars, and that's why he's probably the best person or best people working at Lucasfilm right now. The best.
And if you haven't seen it, go watch Star Wars Galleries, Mandalorian, the behind the scenes stuff for that on Disney+. Go give that a good watch.
I've not seen any of the behind the scene things. I thought about watching Falcon and Winter Soldier.
For the Mandalorian, specifically for season 1, because they didn't have to worry about COVID, it's framed as everyone who worked on the show, your graphics guys, Dave and John, Kathleen Kennedy, and a bunch of them sitting around a table just talking about it. And in episode 1, they just let Dave Filoni go, and he talks for 15 minutes to half an hour about the lore and impact Qui-Gon has on the series.
Sorry, bad connection. Sorry,
That's all right.
That is cool. And you see, they did just one episode for the behind the scenes for season 2, and there's a great moment where Jon Favreau suggests, it's here when Mando, shoots out the lights while the John Leguizamo Cyclops character's hanging in the alley. It's what have you said, McClunky? And Dave just shoots that down. It's no, that's a Greedo line. That would be incredibly stupid. Come on. He's got such a good knowledge of Star Wars that he knows what we will like. He doesn't do fan service like that so we go, oh yes, it's that thing. He does it so that it still works within the story. And Rebels, I liked Rebels, and yeah, he's great, but I do think we shouldn't put too much pressure on him.
Yeah.
He's allowed to have bad days.
No.
Public treated Anakin in the Clone Wars, yeah.
That's how you get people like M. Night Shyamalan, when you give them too much praise too early.
I mean, to be fair, again, this isn't exactly very early for him.
Let me say something about the gallery again. A lot of people have disagreements on the prequels. I am a prequel defender. I admit it. I'm a prequel defender. And so is Dave Filoni. He admits how the prequels can be vindicated. And in the gallery, he explains how important the Battle of Dual Fates with Qui-Gon and Maul and Obi-Wan was, because some people say that it's really Jar Jar's fault that the Empire took over, but it's really Maul's fault. He was the one who killed Qui-Gon and wasn't able to be a good father to Anakin, and that's why Palpatine, got his little clenchy fingers on him. So it's really Maul. So that Maul did Palpatine 2 favors by giving him the galaxy and giving him Mandalore.
Just as well his final arc.
I am not by any means a Star Wars professional, but in terms of being a fan, I would say I'm like pretty firmly in the new canon. I've read a bunch of the books. I love all the movies, even the bad ones, and I'm talking about that on both sides. I'm talking about that with prequels and sequels. I love Star Wars. I believe the world is beautiful. It's wonderful, and there's always going to be a cool story to follow in it. So I honestly hope Star Wars lasts forever, and I think it probably will.
I have my sorry.
With Dave Filoni taking the lead, I have confidence that maybe we'll get some more really good stuff, and maybe we won't. But I'm excited for the Lando show. I'm excited for Ahsoka. But getting into the show proper, Squid, why did you pick these specific episodes over any others?
Well, I wanted to talk about how the finale represents the show as a whole, and how one finale can represent or how it can define a show. Because if you have a good finale or a great finale or a finale that literally reinvents everything, then you have one hell of a show. And by the way, me as a fan of Star Wars, I've been into the EU, I love the Old Republic, and I know basically everything about Star Wars.
Bold claim.
You know everything about Star Wars?
Yes, mostly everything.
Okay, I'm a quiz you.
I was going to say, here's the chance everyone come up with a difficult question for Squid.
What is the English translation of the word McClunky?
Funky. I think. Well, I don't know about the new canon, but I am into the EU. You should ask me, or Republic or EU or like anything about.
No. You said you knew everything. Here it is.
And that's from the original trilogy as well. So
in the original trilogy, we got McClunky. Tell me McClunky.
Okay, I think it's oh shit.
It does not mean oh shit. It's a threat. It essentially means you'll burn in hell.
Whoa. McClunky.
Yeah. It's like a huge threat. It's essentially like you will die 1,000 deaths.
Wow.
What a way to go.
Yeah, I know because in Mandalorian Season 2, Bit Fortuna says it, and they directly translate it. He said, right in. So, Squid, I'll be taking your Star Wars fan license. You're not allowed to be a fan anymore. That's what this means.
Anyway.
Take it from my dead hands.
I'll cut your hand off. It's Star Wars.
Don't worry, we'll replace it with a cyborg hand. Don't worry.
I'll replace it with a Jar Jar hand. I'm in control here. I'm the king.
Mr. Sack Puppet! Mr. Puppet, forget further! Okay.
So do we have any like things we want to say about Clone Wars before jumping into the review? Like our first experience with it, because back when Reactaholics was a thing, I've talked about this once or twice, but when you were a kid, freaking Clone Wars, watching an episode of Clone Wars, that was the hot ticket. Like, people would die in Clone Wars. Like, it was like cheating. Essentially, it was a cartoon for kids where everything was allowed to get super dark here and there. It was totally like, just like watching Cartoon Network and cheating at being a kid and becoming like an adult for one night.
You just type on YouTube, Clone Wars is a kid's show. You'll see plenty of slaughters on screen.
And don't forget suicide. Don't forget that.
I remember there was like a creature that ate a clone, and one of the clones just goes, "What the hell was that?" And as a kid, I was like, "Oh, swears."
But you don't swear that much because horrible violence is okay as long as you know nothing words.
Well, I don't know about you, Squid, but I definitely don't fucking swear that fucking much.
You rascal. As for myself, I must admit, I didn't really grow up watching the Clone Wars too much. I'm kind of a latecomer, but it was actually thanks to Brooks here that we spent the majority of the last quarter of 2020 spending evenings getting together on Skype to binge watch specific arcs on Clone Wars, and he converted me. Clone Wars is a great show, and even though it doesn't always work due to a lot of exposition, a few arcs that could have been paced better, but when it works, it really works. And this finale is the pinnacle, if you ask me. So I'm really glad I watched it. Thank you, Brooks.
You're welcome.
How about you, Jack?
Jack's out of commission right now, so we're going to me, right?
Jack died? I
Yep.
miss him. I like Jack a lot. He's my friend. He was my friend.
And later, he would come back to life for a Tim Burton movie.
He got Order 66.
No, Jack! You didn't tell us!
No! No!
What have we done?
Power. Unlimited power.
Not for Jack. He has barely any power for his wife.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited power!
You're going like 11, Squid. I need you to come back down to 7, -7.
Okay. I was just...
You need to be chill.
I need to chill, like Lando. Like him.
Yes, like Lando. So, what was your introduction to the show?
Me, yeah. Well, like Cassie Andor, I've been into the Clone Wars since I was 6 years old, and I mean that.
Oh yeah, you would have been 6 when it came out.
Yes, I was, and I actually went to watch the movie, and I watched the show when it first came out, and it was like, and I watched some of the stuff that I thought I was too young for. I thought, and also stuff that, people think that children would go over the head. I actually understood all the complex stuff, all the political stuff, and also all the deep stuff about also the complex stuff, and also literally about the idea of friendly fire, suicide, nihilism, and basically so much themes and ideologies and so much philosophy that usually would go over any kid's head. But George Lucas and Cartoon Network were the ballsiest guys on the net and decided to show all the kids it, even though this should have been on Fox and should have been shown to adult audience. But I'm glad they didn't.
It was 100% an adult show. I remember that one episode where Jar Jar pretends to be a Jedi and gets caught because he farts or something. Or that episode where the droids, that episode was boring.
It's not a perfect show. It's half a kid's show, half an adult show. And I feel like they should have took the adult show and just ran with that and just went on Fox. That would have been more the responsible thing. But the irresponsible thing, the more fun thing, is just to show the entire thing to kids. Everything.
I think it was okay to be on Cartoon Network. If we're allowed to watch Batman the animated series, we can watch Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Well, the Batman the animated series did not have nihilism or suicide in it.
Are you kidding me? It definitely had nihilism.
I mean, nihilism, yes, in the Joker, but didn't go to the full extent of some Batman stories have gone, right?
I think that with Batman the animated series, I don't know if there was specifically a suicide episode, but I don't necessarily think you need that specific aspect to be dark. I think there are incredibly dark stories in Batman the animated series that still appeal to children. And I feel like that's kind of what happened here too. I think that all in all, the show really belonged on Cartoon Network because Cartoon Network literally usually lets you get away with a couple things.
I know.
I just remember the good old days where I would watch an episode of Ben 10 Alien Force, Total Drama Island, Generator Rex, and then Clone Wars.
And it was once the ballsiest network on the ballsiest animated children's network. And now it's the needy aunt that gives you $5 and hoping that you would like her today with Cartoon Network. It is so sad how it's devolved.
I don't know. There's still some good stuff on Cartoon Network.
Stuff, I guess. But I mean, with some Teen Titans Go and how much they pander towards that, it's just kind of sad that that's their focus.
Teen Titans Go movie is actually super funny. Have you seen that, Cal? It's hilarious. You'd love it.
Yes.
Yeah,
But-
I haven't actually seen it, but I heard it's quite funny, actually. But going back to Clone Wars.
Yeah. Focusing on Clone Wars.
Yes.
Let's just dig into these episodes. So the first episode is about Ahsoka reuniting with Anakin. She is recruited to go to Mandalore and fight Darth Maul.
Actually,
And
Maul.
Do you think we should talk a little bit about some of what happened, just so that the audience can understand what's going on? Especially with the Ahsoka she's been going through.
Nah, she did leave the Star Wars. She did leave the Jedi Order, so we can
Maul
mention that.
did come back with spider legs, and then he got regular legs, and then he literally took over a planet and basically killed the terrorist leader, and then basically killed the pacifistic leader, all in one episode or two.
But also got captured by. Yeah, we just need to say, we just need to say she left the Order. We don't have to talk about fives and stuff.
I know.
But it's a really crucial part I should talk about in terms of subtleties and stuff like that. But yeah, the finale. Basically, all you need to know is that the events of this episode tie into Revenge of the Sith. And if you've seen Revenge of the Sith, it makes it all the more suspenseful.
Yeah. It's literally in sync with Revenge of the Sith. I like to think of it as the missing chapter.
Yeah.
But this first episode, there isn't much to synopsize, honestly. It's just we reunite with Ahsoka. Ahsoka gets some troops to go take on Mandalore. And then she goes there, but she doesn't take on Maul yet. That's the next episode.
I'd love to do a bit of synopsis in terms of storytelling. Usually with Clone Wars, you get the sort of a drumming version of the Star Wars theme with every opening, followed by Tom Kane's narration. You do get Tom Kane's narration in this first episode, but I've noticed the titles for Clone Wars are in bold red, like blood red, and even the part ones, like vignettes. And I'm just thinking to myself, seeing all these arcs as a whole with the stunning animation, I could see this as one single movie in a cinema. This could be like the next big Star Wars movie, and no one would argue with me.
No one would argue with you. I would just love to see this in the cinema. And Dolby Cinema. It just surround sounds, everything. I would love to see that.
I'm with you. I would love to see this in a movie theater.
This battle, it starts off with a typical battle between the clones and the separatist droids, and we do get one last ounce of humor with Anakin pretending to surrender, trying to pretend rather, with Obi-Wan just being, it's typical Anakin, whilst the clones and R2-D2 are just waiting with their jetpacks to invade. Their plan succeeds, and then we get the reunion with Anakin and Ahsoka. Yes.
Or you
What
could
did
say
you guys
Fulcrum.
think about this opening? Because honestly, this opening doesn't have a lot to do with the plot. I think it's really just there because, we had to give an action scene to Obi-Wan and Anakin. We had to do something with them before they're gone.
And explore an entirely new planet. Usually what they do in the Clone Wars.
Did they explore a new
Didn't
planet?
explore, introduce, I meant. Or give more, scenery to the planet. Because you'll see in the Revenge of the Sith when Plo Koon was shot down, but we get to see more of it.
Okay. Well, I like this opening scene. I thought it was a little cheesy. I thought it was all right, let's bring Anakin in. Oh, let's bring in the badass. Let's show how cool he is.
It's the calm before the storm.
I don't even think it's the calm before the storm. I think it's they wanted to see Anakin be cool one last time.
Before he becomes, you know what?
Yeah.
Voldemort. So Anakin and Obi-Wan see Ahsoka with the short-haired lady who was the sister.
Her name's
Queen.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, thank you. Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano doing some Mandalore stuff, and she arrives at where Anakin and Obi-Wan are. It would have been a better reunion, but business comes first. But fortunately, Anakin did take the time to get Rex, Fives, and all the other beloved clones that we've got to know as brothers throughout the majority of this Clone Wars series to... Oh, does that happen yet?
Fives is already dead.
Oh, yeah, so he is.
Actually, it's just Rex and a bunch of clones, but since we don't know them, we feel like we know them because we get to know these clones, and we feel like we know them.
Well, here's the thing. There is one named clone that was in other episodes, Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Vaughn. Don't forget Captain Vaughn.
Yeah, Jesse is in this episode who, I listened to a podcast where this one guy was like, Jesse is my favorite because my name is Jesse. Man, that guy has to do that through these episodes.
Every time I think of Jesse, I always think of Jessie the cowgirl.
When somebody cloned me, everything was terrible.
I'll get into talking a little bit about, because I think there is something to be said about Rex, but I'll save it for the later episodes, because one of these episodes is pretty much all about Rex. I think that this intro, the reveal of Ahsoka, I think it honestly felt like, okay, we're about to do so much cool Star Wars lore shit, but we need something to hook in the kids. Let's do this action.
They're all grown up. Everyone who watched the show's grown up.
Watched Clone Wars. I watched this with my little niece.
I watched it with my little brother this final season, yeah.
I watched this by myself because I was a child.
What you just said there, Neil, I think that summarizes the initial premiere movie that started it all. Ahsoka's there for the kids to latch on to. Man, Ahsoka's come a long way since then.
But then, in one episode, she decapitates some guys.
Hey, decapitation is fun.
Well, we get a few decapitations in these episodes.
I remember an episode of Sesame Street where people's heads were falling off. It happens. Anywho, moving forward. So Ahsoka gets her troops, and she essentially goes down to Mandalore. There's a couple really good fights. This episode honestly just feels like action, 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 which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I wish they would have released all these episodes all at once, though, because as Callum was saying, it does feel like one continuous story. Anyways, they go underground so they can get to Maul's fortress, like Maul's people. But spoiler alert, Maul's already there and kills some of Ahsoka's soldiers. She's all sad about it. And then cliffhanger, next episode we fight Maul.
Hold on. Before we move on, I think we missed a very, very crucial part. Anakin travels with Ahsoka to give her an honorable gift because the clones still love Ahsoka as one of their own.
Her blue
in honor of Ahsoka, they painted their helmets with that orange and white and blue pattern to imitate Ahsoka herself. And Anakin, Brooks gets the idea. That is an awesome blue glow, Brooks.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically, you're welcome. Anakin gifts Ahsoka with 2 blue lightsabers, which she uses very well in combat. And then they have a last exchange. But yeah,
I gotta be real with something. I thought that scene where she walks in the room and all of the soldiers have markings of her face on them. I thought that was the creepiest shit. Because how would you feel if you walked into a room with a friend of yours who's like, I got something to show you. You walk into a room and everyone has a picture of your face over their face. And he's like, do you like it?
And then later, oh my god.
I mean, I could see that, but as us humans who don't have particularly distinctive forehead markings, I think they'd just be plain anyway. And Ahsoka then uses the forehead symbol again as the Fulcrum logo throughout Rebels and stuff. She uses it herself.
Yeah, you're right. I made fun of this though when I had to make a character named Chad Trooper. He was my Star Wars joke character for streams, and I was coming up with his design for physical art, which I've sent to you guys before. And in honor of this weird thing they did with Ahsoka, his helmet is painted to look like Palpatine's face, and I adore it. So I do like this just for the fact that I think it's so weird that it inspired a very funny joke.
There.
I wonder what homage to Maul would look like. It'd be kind of ironic if Maul was
already
slower.
on the
Well.
Mandalorian's helmets.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of show what it would be.
Anakin and Ahsoka have one last exchange. And
Last
also
goodbye.
Obi-Wan, last goodbyes, and Obi-Wan also announces to Ahsoka that, oh no wait, that's the next episode, never mind. Yep, next episode, yes!
Well, what do we think of this episode? Because I gotta be real, I like this episode because I like it all as a whole. But if someone was like, okay, just this episode, I'd be like, that's all right. It's the beginning. It's the start.
The beginning of the end.
Like, I feel like this episode isn't as action-packed as the others, but it doesn't really need to be. I would say this is an average episode of Clone Wars, so specifically for this sort of rating system we have, I give this episode a 5. Because it's pretty good. Well, it's just average.
Okay.
It's okay. Don't worry, later I'll be singing the praise of this show, but this one was just like, if they would have released it as a movie, which, for God's sake, I wish they would have.
For the love of God, just release the movie already.
It
I'll
would have
buy
been
it for
great.
$20.
Well, if they would have, they should have done that to begin with, because now I'm in a situation where I have to judge literally the first chapter has its own episode, and I'm like, okay, well, as its own episode, it's average. There's some cool stuff, but nothing that great yet. I don't know. What did you guys think? Am I a little too rough on it?
Maybe, yeah. I would definitely give it a higher rating, definitely, but not that high. But
I'm just saying, if you only saw this, not the rest, not the Darth Maul fight, not the Order 66 stuff, just this, how would you feel? Because we are just rating this.
Out of love for the beginning of the show, I'd probably give it a really high rating because it kind of pays homage to like the beginning of the series, like with the movie. Remember when Ahsoka was coming out of the ship and meeting Anakin and Obi-Wan for the first time, and then in this episode she does that, but this is their last time seeing each other. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at it taking in everything that's already happened in the Clone Wars, taking in what you know is going to happen with Revenge of the Sith and all future projects, but taking it as we've taken the rest of the things we've reviewed over the past few weeks, just as a standalone episode, though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm with you there. Like, I think that, like, if you're looking at like what this could be, it's cool. But if you're looking at what it is the beginning of a really good story, and it starts off with something that has nothing to do with the plot, sort of builds back to it. Like, I think honestly the best part of this episode is Ahsoka and Anakin sort of having their last interaction.
Well, to interject, changing what I've just said, I think we do need to look at this based on everything else, at least up to this point. Because if you just saw this one episode, that interaction means absolutely nothing to you.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They're just two characters talking that you've never met up to this point.
You
So
know,
I'm changing
weirdly
it.
enough,
I think we do need to address this as it pertains to the rest of Star Wars.
weirdly enough, if I'm being super critical, like as critical Neil as I can be, season 7, with the exception of these episodes, was kind of a spin-off situation where it was like, okay, we're doing a Bad Batch episode that loosely connects to Echo, but it's loose. We're going to do an episode where Ahsoka's just on her own, because what happened when Ahsoka was on her own? And that doesn't have much to do with anything.
But except for her meeting Bo-Katan.
Yeah, but that's at literally the very end.
I know. But I have one thing to say about that middle episode. I knew that they're originally going to do like an Asian male character, but then they brought in these two female like Hispanic characters. I had no idea why they did that. Like, it confuses me.
Well, they changed a lot of it from the original pre-animated stuff. Like, it was going to be the Ghost was the ship they had, and it's like, no, well, we used that asset in Rebels now. We need to change it, make a different ship. They had to change a lot of stuff, because especially for people like you who had seen all the pre-done stuff that was going to be the final season, you already knew it. So you'd just be watching it with better quality graphics.
Yeah.
What would be the point, apart from to appreciate better quality graphics? So they changed it up so that even those going in can enjoy something new.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Also, instead of giving one guy some work, we gave two fine ladies some work. Which
I mean, I'm still a big fan of those characters, but
oh yeah, me neither.
I'm not exactly the biggest fan of those characters. They're fine for what they are, but I'm not exactly. They're not good. They're not bad, but they're just.
I mean, this is kind of a departure, but there was a rumor that the spin-off show was either going to be about them or the Bad Batch.
Oh, thank God! It's about the Bad Batch.
Glad we got Bad Batch. Yeah.
I love the clones. This show made me fall in love with the clones. I need more clones.
I love them.
But yeah, even considering everything that came before, even considering like that, them reuniting is a huge payoff to Ahsoka's character, I'm still giving it a 5, because we've had episodes that the first episode of an arc has hit so hard. It has been like, oh shit, here we are, like the Mortis arc, or some of the other ones. So when you compare this to them, it doesn't quite fit, in my opinion. It seems too slow. Now, granted, this is a 4-parter. Maybe that's why. But I can't help but be like, well, if I'm judging you how you are, this is how I feel, man. So I'm giving it a 5. Now, granted, when I go to give a rating as a whole at the end, that'll be a horse of a different color, but this one's a 5. I think it.
Other ratings?
What was that?
Other ratings from anyone else?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Squidly.
So, yeah, at the beginning of this episode, if you had to judge it on its own, it wouldn't be anything that special. But after all, I did say it's kind of connecting to the beginning of this entire series, and it's kind of like the roots back all the way to the beginning, and like connecting, it all connects to the beginning and the end. I think it works beautifully in that way, and I do love the action, even that awesomely cliched explosion behind the Ahsoka's back, that cool cliche from, I love that in the beginning of the Siege of Mandalore. So I'm going to give it higher. I really give this a 7. I don't care. I might sound a little biased, but I'm giving it a 7.
Hey, 7's a fine rating, my dude. Callum, you go next, I guess.
With the rest of this arc in mind, I'd probably give this either a 7.5 or an 8. With it as an episode on its own, I'd probably give this a 7.
Fair.
Yeah, I think that 7 is a fine rating. Again, I never want my opinions to impact anybody else's. I just think, I remember with, just to bring it up to another show we saw and reviewed together, Falcon and Winter Soldier, that weirdly enough was kind of similar to this, where it started with an action scene that's not super related to the plot, but then once it starts running, it starts running. Like, when these episodes came out, this is all we got for a week. We had to wait another week to get that episode. And I'm just going to say it. I don't think this is enough. I think I was like, I remember being irritated at the end because I wanted to see more, but it only gave me this. And I was like, okay, well, that was not enough, but I'll wait.
Blame Disney+. Just blame them.
I blame... I have to review it how it is presented. And they did not go move. But go ahead, Jack, and give your rating and final thoughts.
Because I dipped out for a little bit there. Just quickly, my thoughts on the whole episode.
I'll
I've
go
got
ahead,
a page of notes just from the opening Tom Kane dialogue, so let's abbreviate. It's yes, the opening red text is great because it's another Maul arc, which is what they did for Maul throughout the show. Whenever it was a story about him, they did the red logo, which is great. They bring that back here. Seeing all the different Jedi on the different planets in the situations we know lead to their deaths in 66. Aayla Secura on Felucia, Plo Koon, as was pointed out, flying in his starfighter. All the stuff that we know, this is their last stands, their final battles. So going into this, you're already, oh wait, this is catching up to where the next movie starts. Going into the season, I thought that we were going to end this, Clone Wars would end right before the start of the final battle, the first battle, I suppose, of Revenge of the Sith. But no, they overlap, which is amazing. Depa Billaba and Kanan get their little cameos here, which is the first time seeing them animated, which we then get to see more of in Bad Batch, which is great. Obi-Wan's reveal through the smoke and everything on that fight on the bridge is great. More of Cody. I hope we see more of Cody just in general going forward in Star Wars. Anakin committing more war crimes. Yay, pretending to surrender. That's not a good thing to do. I do love...
This is Star Wars. They don't know what that means.
Yeah. All the characters commit war crimes in this. It's fine. But you have all the way back at the show with all the clones being so loyal and dedicated to their commanders. And just the little moments of the 501st under the bridge with Rex. And R2 goes up, has a peek over the edge, comes back down and says, oh yeah, you're going to have to wait for a bit longer. And just the sarcastic, sir, yes, sir. Just fed up with it at this point.
Now, you see, I'm a little conflicted on this scene because on one hand, one of my favorite Star Wars characters, Rex, looks like a badass here. On the other hand, one of my other favorite Star Wars characters, Obi-Wan, is, I think Anakin even says it, he's just like hiding behind a rock. I did not love that, but it was really cool to see the clones come in. I agree with you.
And then, of course, we get more Tom Kane as Wolfie Lawrence shows up again in, I think, the last... No, we see him later in Rebels. But here is his last time with sort of brown hair. He's got streaks of grey. He's aging up to what we see him as in A New Hope, which is, again, great. This is all... I am going to give my scores because how this ties in with everything else was great. They say that it's Fulcrum. We're like, oh, okay, Saw Gerrera. Nope, because we've seen Rebels by this point. We know it's going to be Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka and Bo, which is great. How they show up, and Squid already pointed out, coming down the ramp, and they play Obi-Wan's theme there, the Force theme as Ahsoka returns. That's great. I love the bureaucracy of everything throughout these arcs of the Jedi Council here. Where Obi-Wan's like, no, we can't send you off to go do this mission. You're not a part of the military anymore. You're not a Jedi. You're not a general, so... we promote Rex up to Commander Rex so that we can do it with him in charge, and things that come up in later episodes of, this is a Jedi matter, citizen, get out of here. I love that angle to this, although there are consequences for Ahsoka leaving. It's not just, hey, welcome back. She chose to leave, we deal with that.
Green lightsabers. Actually, we'll make it blue.
You know what, Jack? I think you've made a case here. And I think you're right. I think I need to up my rating just a little, because Jack reminded me there are so many friggin' little lore nods here with all of the cameos from the Jedi who are about to die, all the little references.
And don't forget the Star Wars theme that it goes in every movie was at the beginning of this episode. It's usually the da 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 da, but instead it's actually the da 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 da.
Yeah.
I will up it to a 6. I think you're right. that Saul Guerrero reference actually made me like laugh and like freak out a little. So I think in general, yeah, you're right. This did have some good stuff paying tribute. I still don't think like it's great or anything, but you're right. It's a little above average.
Nice. Then again, when Ahsoka comes down the ramp, you have Anakin and Obi-Wan, the Jedi, being a bit more stoic and reserved at this reunion, and R2 just rushes over to get a head pat from Ahsoka. R2's great.
Yeah, R2's
Bo-Katan
always great.
having issues with, again, the whole bureaucracy angle of it's a military, they represent all these systems and planets, and they need to do it the proper way. Again, the modifications, painting to the masks, the helmets are great. I've just got written, it overlaps when we find out that Grievous has attacked the capital. Oh my gosh, it all syncs up, it's great. Rex being promoted to commander, yes, and how that ties in down the line. Because then we see when they are flying to Mandalore, so Rex is the one in charge of this mission. He has command here. Rex has command over 3 Venators. 3 Proto-Star Destroyers are at his command, flying to Mandalore here. And I love the Venator is an amazing ship. I'm so annoyed that they scrapped them for Star Destroyers within the lore, but we get. Yeah, sorry. Gar Saxon and Rook and Ursa Wren, all these Rebels characters coming in again. Sam Witwer, Maul, back. Oh, this episode is great, but bearing in mind how I'm going to score the rest, and sticking to whole numbers, I'm also going to give this a 7. I like the dialogue bits. The action's fun. Ahsoka running down from ship to ship, which comes back at the end of this arc. It's great. Nothing wrong with a 7.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a fine, okay episode. However, episode 2 is when shit gets real, yeah.
Callum, shit's going down.
Do you want to synopsisize it for us?
I'll
Oh, Brooks, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And by the way, sorry about interrupting earlier.
Cool.
Okay.
Sorry for rambling a bit there.
Synopsis of the next episode is that Ahsoka is trying to find Maul throughout the city, and then they finally they get Olmec and they finally get him, but then Gar Saxon assassinates him, and then it's revealed that Maul had a vision and that it was of someone named Skywalker, and then when they get back to the throne room, then we see that Maul's there, and then he gives, I forgot to mention that he also had Jesse, and he mind probed him, which is one of the best force powers from the sequel trilogy. They mind probe him, and basically he knows everything about Ahsoka Tano, and knows basically everything, and he asks Ahsoka to join him, and knows that the Republic is falling, and that everything will go to shit, and that there's no justice, no law and order, except for the one that will replace it. And he wants her to join him, and she actually takes his offer up for the first time, and actually.
You're skipping. That's the next episode.
Is that?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's fine.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, I got my notes wrong. Never mind. Ignore me.
Are you sure?
Carry on.
Okay. So Ahsoka accepts his offer, and that never happens in any good guy Star Wars character. They always say, "I'll never join you," but she actually takes up the offer that she would join him, and that's actually nuance for a Star Wars character. But then when Maul brings up that Anakin is the key to destroying the Jedi, and that to bring upon the Empire, she backs down, and that's actually good for her character that she won't join him, and then they have this big epic battle. And it actually goes simultaneously with the clones fighting the Mandalorians, and some people actually say that the Duel of the Fates songs should have been in this battle. It should have been, and also, I feel like that it should be called the Duel of the Apprentices. That's what this episode should have been called. And then basically they have this big epic battle until Ahsoka finally gets the upper hand on Maul, and then he's, "Let me go, let me die. You're all gonna burn. We're all gonna burn! You don't know what you're doing!" and then they finally capture Maul, and then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I must say, not only is it the fight of the apprentices, it's the fight of the motion capture actors. They actually got Ray Park, yeah, that Ray Park, to choreograph Darth Maul's fight. Behind the scenes is amazing. Just that entire scene is the smoothest fight scene. I mean, the fight scenes were great. This fight scene was, ooh, it's amazing. Great choreography.
I am only but a 23-year-old man, but I gotta say, that fight scene might be the smoothest, sexiest CGI fight scene I've ever seen in all of my days. Like, that was, oof. All the little movements and all of the, like, interesting scenery. You were so scared they were gonna fall when they start using the Force. It's cool.
And when they beat each other up.
I especially love the bow staff cinematography. You know, I loved friggin' Darth Maul being Darth Maul. Like, I think that the actor's name is Wentworth, right?
Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer.
Star Killer.
Star Killer.
I love this actor. He's in a lot of the stuff I like. Like, he's in he was in Gotham, he was in Supergirl, and of course he was in Force Unleashed, and he freaking nails it as Darth Maul. Yeah, I think that he, while here, he really like earns his place in the Star Wars canon. I love seeing the like cinematography, and the fact that Ahsoka for a second does agree, I actually really like, because in that moment, because of Sam's performance, I actually believed, and I still believe, that Maul wasn't in it for, like, Maul wasn't going to betray Ahsoka. Maul just wanted to freaking, like, have a chance at survival. So he was like, hey, look, world's ending. This is our only chance. Apocalypse is coming. We got to team up or we die. And I think Ahsoka got that. I loved this episode. I loved it a lot more than the previous episode. I think that this is where the action really nailed it, the story beats, and there are little moments in this one too where it's like, look how far Ahsoka has come, to the point where this girl who could barely hold a lightsaber is now fighting Darth Maul, the guy who killed Qui-Gon Jinn. I thought it was so neat. Anyone else got thoughts?
Yeah.
You also, Jack's got thoughts, yes.
Yeah, Maul's amazing. Maul was right to change my mind, you know. The return of Darth Maul in Clone Wars, he's most likely my favorite Star Wars character. And it's very largely down to, yes, Sam Witwer's performance here, but you combine it then in this arc with, as we've said, we bring back Ray Park for the choreography, for the fights for this. That's great, and of course the animators doing a great job, because, again, you bear in mind, yes, they mo-capped out the fight in general with the bodies. Yes, Sam Witwer is doing the voice performance, of course, but you still have all the animators doing everything, all the expressions and everything Maul gives throughout it. Little smiles when he thinks things are going well, the disappointment at times in his voice, and then the desperation at the end there when they end up stunning him and he loses. Maul's amazing in this.
I love his voice. It sounds so sophisticated, but at the drop of a dime, it can turn so animalistic. Sam nails it.
Which is the fun thing, because in...
like Jeremy Irons' performance in Scar.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jeremy Irons'
The
performance.
first, I forget the name, the first episode 1, you have Maul, and he has, what, 3 lines? Something like that? He barely talks. It's like, at last we shall have our revenge.
He had more lines in the trailer than he did in the movie.
Yeah. Which meant that you just have... You could take it in so many directions, which is great. And then, of course, this version of Maul is so different from in that film, because he's been cut in half. We had, as you said, the whole spider thing, him going mad. He's a totally different character at this point. He's progressed so far. And then that continues for his brief bit in Solo, but then, of course, into Rebels, which Darth Maul is my favorite Star Wars character. Yeah.
I agree. I just wish they would. Like, this is a criticism about Rebels, so it has no place here. I love the Obi-Wan scene with him. I loved his death scene. I wish he was still alive because he was so good.
Well, I have something to say, actually.
Yes, Squid.
I'm sorry. But actually, in George Lucas's original plans for the sequel trilogy, he was going to have Maul alive and be the main antagonist of that trilogy against Luke and Leia.
Yeah. I prefer this. It would be interesting
also
to see.
got to keep in mind, you also got to keep in mind the whole disaster theme. If you watch the Clone Wars, I think even if you've never seen the films, for whatever reason, the build-up to this apocalypse has been built up. Like the Umbara arc, the Krell said, "I have foreseen it coming. You won't survive this." Anakin saw himself become Darth Vader and tried to prevent that happening before losing his memory. There's been other events and such. Even Yoda, when he was going on his sort of spiritual pilgrimage, kind of saw glimpses of this inevitable doom. Like, I think if you saw if you saw this Clone Wars as it was, I think fans would indicate something is coming. Something terrible, awful is coming.
And hopefully we'll see them in Bad Batch.
Maybe. We get news of Dooku's death and everything with Obi-Wan.
There are two characters I want to see in Bad Batch. Cad Bane and Commander Cody.
What about Boba Fett?
I hadn't even considered Cad Bane. Oh.
Cad Bane, that American gangster person.
No joke, might be my favorite Star Wars character. He's definitely my favorite Star Wars villain.
He's definitely up there, yeah.
I just love him so much, and I want him to come back.
Give us a proper conclusion for him, yeah.
May I say something?
Well, there was a deleted scene with him.
There was actually a deleted scene with Boba Fett facing against Cad Bane, and that's actually where Cad Bane was supposed to die, right there at the hands of Boba Fett, and making him the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy.
But again, that's not really canon anymore, because that was one of the proto things for the final season that never happened. So as far as we're aware, he's still out there. We still don't know definitively how Boba got that dent in the helmet. I might see that.
That proper space bounty hunter fight between Boba Fett and Cad Bane and Spike Spiegel or something like that. Yeah,
he could be in the Mandalorian for all we know.
You mean Garazeb Aurelios?
Here's the thing: if he's not in Bad Batch, I got my fingers crossed for Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
But then Cad Bane survived. And then he becomes like the main villain of Book of Boba Fett.
That'd be cool. I don't know how old he'd be at that point.
But aliens have different species.
He's an alien.
Have different
they might need to tweak whatever the canon lifespan of his race is, but... Yeah.
If Cad Bane kills Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett, then the Book of Boba Fett will no longer be about the Book of Boba Fett. It'll be the Book of Cad Bane killing Boba Fett.
I'm on board with that.
And also, did you know that Cad Bane was based off Hans Gruber?
Yeah.
Yes, you can tell by the voice.
Yes. And also, in his first appearance, was just like Die Hard.
And voice, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Cad Bane is so good. But back to the episode at hand. You guys got anything else you want to say before we go into ratings?
I have one thing to say.
Action sequence on the balance beam thingies was quite intense because lightsabers could cut through it, and that these platforms could just drop any moment. That was quite intense as well.
Cinematography was still so good.
Because then you have the footwork; they can only stand at certain places.
Okay, I have one thing to say. How the fight scene with the choreography in the mocap, and I feel like that's kind of what I feel like that animation is way better than anything that Disney or Pixar has ever done. And I think that's what Disney and Pixar should do best. I feel like that giving that live action element puts more soul into the animation. That living human spirit puts more soul into the animation.
I gotta disagree with you there.
Raise your hand, everyone who disagrees with that assertion.
I can't raise my hand. I don't have hands. I'm a phone.
Your vote doesn't count. But they actually have done some motion capture, particularly anytime there was musical instruments in Pixar's Soul and Coco lately.
Okay. I agree with you. The animation is beautiful. I agree with you. It's the best we've ever seen from Clone Wars. I love the little color splotches. It's so detailed. It's so its own style. I love it. Squid, this is not better than Incredibles. It's just not.
Why does everyone keep saying The Incredibles is the best animated movie? I don't get it. I mean, the first one. The first one I meant.
I mean, we don't have to just say Incredibles. I think Toy Story 3 looks better than this.
Wally.
Wally.
Coco,
Oh my
Soul.
god.
It's not
Inside
about
Out.
how good the graphics look. It's about
The animation.
like I said about the mocap. About
Okay.
the
In
soul,
Coco,
like,
how
there's-
would you do Hector or any of these skeletons falling apart? How would you do the massive manticore creatures in mocap?
I
A lot
think
of physically
this is
impossible things. Through the wonders of animation, you can just make up and do.
I feel like
this
that-
is something. Sorry.
I feel like that 2D animation has that spirit and soul on its own from the hand of the creator. But I feel like that if you put the mocap, it's kind of like that.
I fully agree with you. I agree with that. I fully agree with you that this is beautiful. However, it's still it's great. It's really good animation. But Pixar's Pixar, dude. You don't fuck with Pixar.
Okay.
Unless they deserve it.
But I have one thing to say. I feel like that if America was like Japan and they had more adult anime movies, I feel like this would be perfect animation to have in an adult anime movie, or maybe even more adult animation to make it more adult or make it more serious, or more this would be a perfect more war stories but told in CGI animation, or
I'd love to see this style again. Is that what you're saying? You would like to see this style?
You'd like
on
to see
the
some
big
mocap
screen.
again.
On the big screen.
I was going to say, I'm going to direct you to Love, Death, and Robots. It's on Netflix. Season 2 just dropped, but I haven't seen it yet.
I have
Adult
heard
animation, go check that out.
Yeah, I've heard
But
it's
I mean,
good.
on the big screen, for everyone
Look
to
out
see.
a movie theater and go watch it.
But not just mocap. I mean, just CGI animation in general, or 2D animation. I know, but that's
If you want to
still
talk about,
PG. That's still PG.
in that case, go. Just hypothetically, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, but it's just come to mind. If amazing animation is with live action reference, and you really like 2D, they both have the hand of the creator. By that logic, the Snow White cleaning up the dwarves' house in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney film, should be the best animation ever, because it's 2D rotoscoped.
It is pretty good.
It is.
Yeah,
Is it better than this, though?
No.
Okay. just wanted to double check.
Right.
Okay.
It's okay.
I do agree. It's really good. I don't think it's quite as good as you claim.
Right. So, final ratings for this episode?
Do that. But here's the thing. The fact that you loved it more than those things, Squid, shows just how good this was. How big of a connection it had to you, where you're comparing it to the greats like Disney and Pixar. That's a big hit for you. I think that that's got to be some high praise.
Mm-hmm. Damn right.
But yeah, do we want to go into ratings? Is there anything else we want to say about this episode? Speak now or forever be married to a cow.
Okay, cool. Ahsoka, we touched on this a little bit before about Jesse and Captain Vaughn, but when she runs over to an injured clone who's been shot before going in to find Maul again in the sewers, she goes over, Sterling, isn't it? Ahsoka knows all of these guys in the 501st by name. They all have the same face. She knows who each one of them is, which just makes what's to come so hard-hitting, and it makes what just happened in the previous episode with them all decking out their helmets great. That they are all friends. They're comrades in arms, and just gives that extra punch to what's going to happen. I did mention it last episode, but Olmec, yeah, what happens with him? His armor is so cool.
I know.
I love like the
I
gold
just,
trim. It's like a ceremonial thing that has an
It's kind
actual
of like
like, scene
Roman
battle.
Imperial. It's kind of like Roman.
Yeah.
Imperial.
Almost sort of braided, almost look around the edges is really nice. The Mind Probe, this was brought up, I think, because Maul uses it before the season came out. He's used it in Rebels, so this is sort of him using it again before he ended up using it in Rebels. But I think Maul and Kylo were like the only two characters I can think of who have used it. So it is like a dark side ability, but seem quite strong dark side users, and they both trained under Palpatine, so presumably you can use it.
Technically, doesn't Ahsoka use it in Mandalorian to talk to Grogu?
Debatable whether that's just force connect. Everything's connected.
No, but
this
she
is
wasn't
forcefully
like,
extracting memories.
She's more like,
yeah, it wasn't forceful.
Yeah.
Pretty messed up. I mean, Ahsoka is like, can you help me figure out what's going on here? Sure. Just tortures Grogu to get the information out.
The thoughts out of your baby's head.
That is messed.
I'm sorry.
We get in this episode also Maul not disbanding, but sending the members of his syndicate. Okay, everyone go dark, go into hiding. Things are about to get real. And you get our little one. There's like maybe 2 angles on him of Clone Wars style Paul Bettany before they disappear with him. Is nice because again it ties in with everything for him in Solo because he was a part of Crimson Dawn and it's great. Everything with Maul is amazing.
It feels like now that they know, now that they have like a good sort of structure for Maul's story, like they've kind of got like the beginning, middle, and end fully ironed out. Now they're like just having so much fun playing with the middle.
Yeah.
I
is seemingly what Filoni's just excelling at. It's like, yeah, everything between episodes 2 and 3, sure, I'll do that. Want to see what happens between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy? Yeah, I'll do that with Mandalorian. You want to see? I'll do that with Rebels. It's
honestly, I kind of
thing.
hope we eventually get a Maul animated series. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I have one thing.
I'll cut this out.
What?
Can you cut out the one about the baby too?
Maybe.
Nah, that was fine.
I question you, Neil. I seriously question.
Literally, okay, you're like building this up, but literally all it would have been is she pointed a hand at Grogu, and then Grogu's memories are in her head.
Anyway, final ratings for.
You good, Squid?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, and Callum, cut us back in whenever.
Okay, second episode, final ratings. I'll start. I give this either an 8 or a 9. The fight choreography is just too good to ignore.
That is high praise.
8.5. Yeah, I'll give it 8.5 since I couldn't decide between 9 and 8, so I'm going to go with 8.5.
That's very high. I'm actually in a very similar vote. I adore this episode. I love how much character this one episode adds to Maul. I think I gotta give it an 8 because I know what's to come and how good it is, and it is definitely better than this. That's gonna be a higher rated. But just based on this, solely it's on its own, it's an 8. It's really good. It's wonderful. The action is top notch, and these are two characters that honestly do have a lot of symbolism in their fight. It's the apprentice of Darth Sidious versus the apprentice of Darth Vader. But
I think I need to give this episode. This is a 9. This is a 9 for me. It's so good though.
Everybody,
the Siege of Mandalore is red versus blue in the colors of the opposing armies because it's the 501st with the white and blue, and it's the Mandalorians. Bo-Katan's Night Owl, Death Watch, whatever their resistance group is now called at this point. Black and blue versus the black and red. Well, the Night Owls joined Death Watch. It's weird. Mandalorian lore is already complicated enough as it is.
every time we said you were hard to please back when we were doing Falcon and Winter Soldier, we were just waiting for this episode.
Clearly, yeah. Again, you know what's going to come, so you can only guess what I'm going to rate future episodes.
Yeah, I think what a spike in a tip.
I rated it lower than 9 because I think the second half of this episode is better than the first half. The first half is a bit expo heavy and maybe some bits going a little bit too long. And the Obi-Wan's exposition, as greatly informative as it is, there's a part of me that thinks, oh, you could have shown people some Doctor's kind of nitpicking.
Can't understand. What did you just say? English.
He wishes we saw Dooku's death in animation, I think.
Yes.
I actually already saw that in the vision of, Yoda had that vision, and then he was like, Skywalker, no! And then he was like,
oh, okay.
True.
Oh, fair enough. I'll grant you that. So I may have to double back on that. So yes.
I'm sorry,
We didn't
I
see it in
can't
this episode, though.
You speak Smeagol. I'm sorry.
It's not pastas. It's not easy being a dad of raw fish.
I literally just thought you said New Jersey with fish.
If anyone out watching this meets Andy Serkis at a Comic-Con, get him to record himself saying New Jersey with fish.
New Jersey with fish. Go ahead.
I'll call him up. He's a friend.
Anyone else giving their ratings?
I'll give a rating. I'm
Go ahead.
giving this a 9. I don't care, giving it a 9. And I have
Nice.
some thoughts also. About Maul, I feel like he's what Kylo Ren should have been. I feel like that, in command, always the strategist. Instead, we got with Kylo Ren, this, whiny, angsty. But I feel like that's kind of what we got in the EU with Darth Caedus, which is like the counterpart to Kylo Ren. And I kind of wish we got that with Kylo Ren, but we did get with Darth Maul, which I'm very pleased that out.
People have been saying that with the depictions of Anakin compared to the prequel trilogy, but anyway.
We already got that with the Clone Wars.
Neil?
All right.
Oh, we got it already. Neil was...
I give my rating. I gave it an 8.
Here we go.
Just for reference, before we continue with the next 2 episodes, that's us already giving this one a 34.5.
Yeah. A 34.5 out of 40. Meaning there is only... How much? That would be 5.5 in it. If we would have each given 5.5 more on our ratings, this would have been a perfect rating. Lord in heaven. And I'll just go ahead and say it now. I am going higher with the next rating.
Me too. We're all going high. Let's do this.
Well, the next episode, they do Order 66, and I love it when they do Order 66.
I know. But
My
some
synopsis
people
for
had
this
some
episode,
complaints
Order
about
66
wasn't done right.
Order 66, the end. However, Jack, if you would like to go for your notes and give us a better synopsis, go ahead, my dude.
Okay, cool. Well, we get to the conclusion to this siege of Mandalore with Bo-Katan giving the sabers back to Ahsoka. I'm glad we found those because she's gonna need them. And, all the work Anakin put into restoring them and changing the blade color. We get to see Ursa Wren's face in this again because we saw her armor, we heard her voice, and now we're getting to see her face in the Clone Wars style before everything that happens. Rebels is really cool, setting up everything with her and Bo, which then, of course, that's all alluded to. So now we're filling in that gap again. Filoni doing great. What was that, Squid?
Is she the mother of Sabine Wren?
Yeah, she's Sabine's mom. Was in this.
Oh, yeah, I knew it.
Wait, hold up. Did Sabine's mom fight with Maul, on his side?
No, she
was the
on
one
Bo's side.
fighting
She was a Night Owl.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, they say in Rebels that they fought alongside each other during the Siege of Mandalore and everything. They refer to it, and they talk about the Darksaber and everything in Rebels, and it's all... Again, Mandalore's lore is a lot, but no, we see her a few times throughout these past 2 episodes.
Mandalore is the most unlucky place in the world. It gets taken over. It lives its normal life.
Wait
it gets
until you
taken
see the EU. What? Wait till you see
I have
the EU.
seen the EU.
I'm
I know
talking to
what...
the audience. Revan and everything. Revan killing
Yeah.
Mandalore.
We then get Maul getting wheeled out in this Force wielder cage prison unit that Mandalore only has one left of. I assume it was just sitting in a museum somewhere. And it's like, oh, we need this. Okay, break it out. It's the last one.
It belongs in a museum. Lucasfilm reference.
I love Ahsoka's line of like, why'd you have one of these laying around? Something that limits force power? Why'd you have that? I just love that she was like, you were keeping that in case of us, you bitch. I just loved it.
Very convenient.
Fun little tidbit again is the Coruscant Guard showed up to transport Maul. It's fun. So that means that in these last few episodes we get a bunch of different clone trooper armors throughout the arc, which is very nice. I love Ahsoka is standing on the bridge and Rex offers, "Oh, come with me to this briefing." It's like, no, I'm gonna just take a moment. You go. I need to catch my breath. They set up again with this red versus blue motif in the previous bit during the siege. We have Maul in the cage and his eyes open as Order 66 is delivered. It's him, it's Maul in red, behind the red screen of the prison cell he's in, and the actual cage box itself. Cut to Ahsoka with the blue and white, gazing out into hyperspace. So the blue is just the two different characters more paralleling each other again, and the motif of these two colors throughout this arc.
How did I not see that?
It's very nice to look at.
Dark.
Yes, then Ahsoka and Maul both sense Order 66 happening. I don't know. I knew it at one point. I don't know exactly what they did for the voices they hear of Palpatine and Mace Windu and Anakin. I know that it's still Clone Wars Anakin's voice actor for at least that last line of the "What have I done?" It's not Hayden Christensen because it sounds better.
Yeah,
I feel like there's Sam Jackson in there. I don't know exactly how they mixed it.
There's Hayden Christensen. You can hear him go, "No, he must live." Like you can hear the original Palpatine going, "Help me!" And
yeah, I think it's a mix of them both, which is again very nice. That it's these just still these same characters, you know. Because I suppose if you had only watched Clone Wars, you'd be like, "Oh, who's this new Hayden Christensen sounding voice?"
It makes us.
Sorry, I spoke over you there. I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, it makes us solely connect these characters even more to the movies. The fact that we're hearing the movie dialogue, the movie voices, and yet there's Ahsoka.
But then, yeah, Order 66 is. Rex receives Order 66, and it all goes to shit.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
And a lot of people thought that he was gonna be like, when he said execute Order 66, he was like, no. Because they thought he took down the inhibitor chip, but nope, he was like, yes, Lord Sidious.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, one second,
it was
guys.
5.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. I was accidentally sending a voice message to someone else, so during some of that I was muted.
Cool.
Okay. Whew. Oh boy. Here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah. Order 6. Everybody shit talks the prequels, but I gotta be real. Order 66 might be one of my favorite moments of Star Wars history, just because I love seeing how different characters deal with it. Like, I would make a whole show just about Order 66. I love seeing what was going on with the Bad Batch during Order 66. I love seeing what's going on with Ahsoka. I feel like it could be cool to see the characters that got away, the ones that didn't. Maybe they sacrificed themselves to save others. I love every little glimpse we get into Order 66, and this is probably the most heartbreaking one, because we love Rex.
And I see the tears the tears on his face as he aims the guns at Ahsoka.
How he fights the programming for 1 second to yell out about Fives and give her the hint of how to help.
Yes, because this is why I was trying to reference that arc earlier. Fives was the one that
There was another stormtrooper who got a chip removed, and that's how Rex knows about it. That's all we needed to say.
That was a very important arc. Fives found out about Order 66.
No, don't get me wrong. That's a great episode, but, like, we got to review that too, my dude.
I've got over it. Palpatine was just literally so confident over it. He spoiled it already, and I was like, no, I gotta warn the others. And then here's Rex now, just literally just spouting out fives, just five, because fives only had a hint of what was going on. There was another episode where the clone was like, oh, remember the order in our dreams? Oh, man. Just, oh, man.
The nightmare finally ends, yeah.
Good soldier follows orders. And here Rex is just going, fives. Find him. Find him.
Yeah, and then they all just open fire on Ahsoka.
Yeah, and it's so shocking that she actually kills them. She actually kills her comrades.
She had to.
I know, it's self-defense.
She kills a few in self-defense, but I love, as they're all opening fire, when she realizes, oh, I can do this instead, she immediately starts deflecting the blaster bolts up to make a hole to then escape. Such great uses of lightsabers by Ahsoka in these last two episodes.
I also love that, I believe it's this episode, she lets Maul out, right?
Yes.
I love the line of, aren't you at least going to give me a weapon? And she just goes, no, I'm not rooting for you. You're a distraction. Go distract.
Go cause some chaos. That's what you're good at.
He's still a force to be reckoned with his force abilities. You can still kill.
Yeah.
Force to be...
The dark side has never been stronger. It's...
Force to be reckoned with.
And also, she's willing to sacrifice clone troopers all for distraction for escape. She's still willing to sacrifice clone troopers and willing to let them die, but at the hands of someone else in order to survive.
Here's the thing.
Again, a line in the next episode addresses that.
Here's the thing. I'm not mad that Ahsoka kills a couple clones and lets them die and stuff.
Me neither.
Because, quite frankly, it's life or fucking death. You have to do what you have to do. Ahsoka had no choice. She couldn't have thought, oh, well, maybe I can save these people. No, people are shooting at me. It doesn't matter right now. I have to get out. And, of course, she had to go save Rex.
Yeah.
Like,
it is that line in the next episode. It's like, they're gonna die, but I am not the one who's going to kill them. It's not my fault that I have to do this.
It's heartbreaking from the start, though. Like, the second these guys go for her, because so many of these people literally wore her face into battle. Literally took up... Because I have to assume these guys were mostly volunteers. Like, oh yeah, we worked under Ahsoka. She's our friend. We'll help her out.
It's just a division of the 501st. They all worked with Ahsoka, and as we saw, she knows most of them by name.
It's heartbreaking, and the performance by Ahsoka's actress in these episodes,
Ashley Eckstein,
top notch.
And Rex, don't forget Rex. It is so phenomenal.
That would mean the clones as well. D. Bradley Baker, and he's kind of an underrated actor in this regard. D. Bradley Baker not only has to portray Rex, he has to portray every single individual soul who happens to be a clone with the same voice but different personalities. I don't think you can even understand how difficult that is.
And yet, that's how Ahsoka knew that was Sterling.
And yet in
Bad
Batch, he does it like nobody's business. He's these 5 main characters, and you can tell them apart just by the voice. Like, if I'm not even looking at the screen, I know who Tech is, who Heavy is, and who Echo is. D. Bradley Baker, man. Clap in a fucking half.
But once again, Sam as Darth Maul is doing amazing.
Yeah, Sam.
Just giving this a performance of a lifetime when he's realizing the full capacity of the plan. Just going, brilliant, brilliant.
And it harkens back to when he returns and is revived. Once he's back to his senses, he goes, oh, it started without me. And he's a little sad at that. Yeah, he was cast aside by Palpatine, and Palpatine just moved on without him and kept going with the plan. He didn't matter to him at all. And now, this is the climax of that, and he can't help but be impressed.
This show stumbles. This show falls. which
It
is why
rises
it's so
to
beautiful
glory.
when it fucking flies. Like we've seen some boring ass episodes in the show, which is why when it can reach the heights of being better than a lot of the films in the prequel trilogy, maybe even a couple in the original trilogy, it's just so impressive.
Damn right agree.
I mean, I don't know. I might like this a little better than Return of the Jedi. I mean, I like Return of the Jedi. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch
My
both.
claim is a bit bolder.
Mhm.
Also, in terms of casting, you can never forget Dave Filoni's cameo as a droid.
Cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for that little fucker.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But are we talking about both the...
R7 and
Tapped.
it's not Goldie, it's Gigi, I think, is the cone-shaped head one.
Yeah, Gigi. It's actually named after the cat from Kiki's Livery Service.
Oh, nice.
I love
Think of that-
Miyazaki.
the darker color scheme there, yeah.
The fucking kill droid.
Wait, did we talk about
Next
the
episode,
third
next
one
episode.
We just talked about the third episode.
Still the third one.
Still the
Yeah.
third.
The build-up was intense, especially if you knew it was going to happen. And I would assume everyone watching these episodes at least knows of what happens in Revenge of the Sith. You'd be surprised to find one person watching this who has never seen the movies, or has not at least heard of this crucial event that redefined the Star Wars lore. The moment when Ahsoka and the people are leaving, there's not much dialogue. You just feel it. You feel the dread. You're just like, it's coming. It's freaking coming. But it's so
That
dreadful.
scene where she's fighting, she like just got done with the surgery on Rex. She's fighting off other clone troopers, and you see Rex go for the blaster, and you don't know, did the surgery work? And he fires, and Rex is back.
Too bad Rebels kind of, spoiled that for us, that Rebels going to be,
It also spoiled that Ahsoka survives, and Maul survives.
Well,
The original trilogy spoils that Anakin's Luke's father.
yeah, honestly, this episode does not spoil that Anakin becomes Darth Vader. It hints at it, but there is never a line where it's like, yo, Anakin is Darth Vader.
Hold up. I just realized something. Well, not so much realized, but just reminded. We're not talking about spoilers for anything. And yet, this arc works because we know what happens.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's crazy. It's fantastic.
And here's the thing, and I would be bold enough to say this. I think this would still be good if I never heard of Star Wars. I think if I watched...
This whole show is like its own
rest.
universe. It's like its own universe. It's like its own... But it
I
still
don't think
connects
it's its own
to the
universe. I like
this-
that it's part of the main universe.
But this arc is connected mostly to the movies.
Yeah, there are sequels to a lot of the stuff in this. Like, even through Bad Batch, there was a sequel to that one episode where Rex meets a deserter. The fucking deserter comes back in Bad Batch, and I love that.
And now we're getting prequel stuff. I don't know if everyone's seen the latest episode, but by the time this goes up, you should have.
I'm so excited. I'm going to watch it after this.
Nice, okay. Zip in the lip.
I might actually watch it, because I haven't got to watch it yet, but I will watch it now.
Oh no, Jack, you mentioning that there's prequel stuff makes me so excited.
I'm not necessarily saying anything.
It's okay.
So, remind me again, is this the episode where Maul goes Force Unleashed crazy on the clone?
Next episode's that, I think.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No,
Yeah.
I think this is this episode.
He
This
does a
episode
little.
ends with Rex.
Oh, wait, no. That's the next episode, but he does go... Yeah, he really
He has a
decapitates
hallway
one
scene. He
person's
has a Vader
arm,
hallway
then-
scene in this episode.
Yeah. You know you're an awesome Star Wars character when you have your own hallway scene. That seems to be a trend in Star Wars now. You're awesome if you have a hallway fight scene.
Fingers
Did you
crossed
see
for
any sequel
Obi-Wan.
trilogy characters get a hallway scene? Nope.
Yeah. Just,
There is
yeah,
a great scene in a hallway where two stormtroopers run away, sir. when they see Kylo Ren destroy a computer. That's a pretty good hallway scene.
But doesn't count still because it doesn't kill any of them.
He killed the computer.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. Still doesn't count. Still count.
If droids are alive, so are the computers.
Yeah. Anyway, Darth Maul is fighting them off using nothing but the Force. Takes apart parts of the wall, use it as a shield, but force it against them. Then one rather unfortunate clone gets his arm yanked back by the Force and then cut off by the door. Yikes.
Maul just dismembering folks.
You can get away a lot without any blood. You can dismember people without any blood, and it's still brutal. Brutal.
They cut away, they don't show it, they just show it closing in, and you see that arm land. That's all. That's all you need.
Still.
I do love those moments of brutality where you're reminded, oh yeah, they can die.
Yeah.
Like
Again, earlier in that fight, as we said, two guys get decapitated. It's a lot.
There's an episode of Clone Wars where a lightsaber just goes through a dude in blue armor's chest. Disney has even dabbled with this before. There's an episode of Owl House that I saw, tying it into last week's, where someone gets cut and blood comes off their arm, and I was like, oh shit, someone's bleeding.
But I have one thing. One episode in the Clone Wars where, like, Savage Opress literally decapitated 7 guys. He literally just threw his lightsaber and just decapitated them, and even showed the bodies without the heads. I mean,
I'm
this
muted.
show is, like, brutal to the max. And I love it.
Apologies, I muted for a second. You're right, though. The show has so many awesome scenes, specifically this episode, and I'll just go into final thoughts and ratings. Guys, it's a fucking 9. What else was it gonna be? This episode's a 9.
Yeah, 9.
This episode is so good. It's really, really great. There's a lot of focus on Rex. I love the moments where...
Oh, you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, I was breaking up a bit there.
You're fine, buddy. There are amazing moments in here with Rex. There are amazing Ahsoka moments. And just to see Order 66 through Ahsoka's perspective, through Darth Maul's perspective, and through Rex's perspective, it's just really cool. They even call back to the episode 5s. It's a great send-up to Clone Wars, to Star Wars. It's just... I do hold it back a little. I don't think it's perfect.
And what's
well, it's honestly kind of hard to determine. I got to be real. It's a very good. It's very good. I love the scene. I think the only reason I'm like, oh, I can't really give it a 10 out of 10 is because I have seen better from Star Wars. That being said, I love this whole episode. I love it completely. I do think that there was one or two moments during it where, I don't know, it seems like Ahsoka does backpedal a little, where it's like, we can't kill people, but we can. And there are little
like
moments.
The Jedi Order, they're hypocrites.
But dude, the biggest problem with the show, any problem with this episode, is a nitpick at best. This is one of the best things to like have the Star Wars name on it, and the next episode is even better. So I give it a 9 out of 10.
Even better.
Right, in that regard, I'd probably have to give it a 9.5 in that regard. I was going to give it a 10, but you pointed out, Neil, and yeah, this is kind of a problem. Ahsoka's conflict on whether or not she wants to kill the clones or not. I mean, I know the clones are literally her brothers, but she had no problem unleashing Darth freaking Maul.
Mind that she did it. It just is a little weird that she flip-flops here and there with it. Like, I can't kill people. You already did, mate.
Yeah, and she's gonna kill more people in the next episode.
Well, I think there's the killing in self-defense when you need to.
I get why
Versus,
she did it.
She doesn't need to go like Maul and just slaughter them all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get why she did it. But still there, she did let Maul out, so she's at the very least complicit.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I don't view that as a big problem. I don't.
Me neither. Not really.
I think this episode is great. I still, it just doesn't feel like a 10 to me. It feels like a 9 because it's really good. It's wonderful. But I don't think it's like the best thing ever. And that's what I usually try to save 10s for. I try to save them for things that completely and utterly blow me away. And while I was very pleased and very satisfied, and I was somewhat blown away, I don't think it's worth a 10. But a 9 is still high praise. Don't let me understate that.
I don't understate you at all. I'm completely understanding. I'm understanding.
So Neil give it a 9. I give it a 9.5. Jack,
Wait,
Brooks.
I think it's my turn.
All right, Brooks.
Okay, I give it a 9.5. And can I do the synopsis next because it is my pick?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just gonna say 9.5. That's it.
And
I
Jack.
said no.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I cut out a little bit there.
A 9.5.
Hello?
9.5, Jack. 9.5.
Nice.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you again.
I heard
I
Brooks.
think...
Everyone, we have a couple technical difficulties. No big deal, though. But
Did
Jack,
give
what
his
is
rating?
your...
Right.
Jack?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you
Okay,
give your
sorry.
rating?
I think... This is a really good episode, yeah. And as much as I like sticking to whole numbers, I do prefer the previous one, so I'm going to drop down. I give this an 8.5 for me.
Ooh.
Dropped.
It is very good. Order 66, it's all great. The Siege of Mandalore and all of that Darth Maul in the previous episode was so good.
Oh, you're right.
I enjoyed the previous
you're
one
right, you're right.
more, so I'm dropping this down by a 0.5 to an 8.5.
Yeah, they don't beat that fight scene. They had some very good character stuff in this episode, but I don't think they beat that fight scene.
No.
Now,
No.
let's get this over with. Let's talk about the best episode of Clone Wars ever.
Yes.
Which is-
Okay.
And death. Brooks.
The final
Okay.
episode is the best episode.
May I give the synopsis?
Yes.
Go ahead. You want to?
Okay. So it starts off with Rex and Ahsoka battling for survival, and then Maul literally goes Force Unleash on the ship, and then makes it crash down on another planet, and everyone's going down to their impending doom. And then when Ahsoka and Rex try to get to the hangar, they're confronted by all their friends and everyone who they ever fought with, and Rex is giving the performance of a lifetime. And dare I say, on par with Maul. And he's like, those soldiers, my brothers, are willing to die and take you and me along with them. And then he cries, showing that why we didn't see him cry when he fired upon the soldiers, but showing that this is eating him up inside. This is killing him. This is destroying him. He has to kill his own brothers. He kills his own brothers when he was ordered on the Krell, but this is him doing him against his free will to survive. And it's breaking him apart. It's so sad. It is so heartbreaking. It just makes him want to stab Palpatine and make him die in the most unsufferable way possible.
It makes me want to kiss Palpatine. This was a great fucking story. Thanks,
Yeah.
Palps.
And Ahsoka's like, you're a good soldier. So are those men down there. They're willing to die, but I'm not the one who's going to kill them. But in the end, she really does. They try to get to the hangar. Maul gets away in the shuttle, and then they find a Y-wing, and then they get away. But when they get down to the ground, they're confronted with the dead soldiers that they had to bury, and this is all Ahsoka's fault. She unleashed Maul on the Star Destroyer and killed everyone, and she has to live with this for the rest of her life. And then years later, where Imperials found the remnants of this Vener Sartas destroyer, even Darth Vader shows up and then picks up a lightsaber, and we see what is it called, Jack? I'm sorry, I forgot. You know the bird that's connected to the Mortis? That's connected to
the owl.
Yeah.
The owl
Borai.
friend.
Oh, and then he sees it, and we see a little blue eye that there's still Anakin in him, but then it all goes away. And then he keeps the lightsaber for some reason. Maybe he might give it to an Inquisitor, but then all we see left is a clone trooper helmet forgotten by the Empire, and that's all. But after, when the stormtroopers come in and they'll be replaced, that's all they're gonna be, forgotten by the Empire. The clone troopers were the victims of this war, the true victims, and this was all about them and how sad the story was for them.
Yeah, I think I already said it. This is the best episode of Clone Wars. I love the Mortis God arc. I love friggin' the Captain Rex episode where he is helping out some rookies. I love so much of Clone Wars. And just like Avatar, the ending brings it all together. Like, to see Rex Rex is the biggest badass in all of Clone Wars. Rex is the soldier that does not fail. So when he is shaken, you should be shaking too. And I was. When he took off that helmet and he was crying, I was right there with him. I felt all of those emotions. How would you feel if somebody you cared deeply for, fought in battle with, turned around, pointed a gun at your best friend, and then you had to, like, and then even you pointed a gun, and then your best friend saved you anyways? That's awesome. There is so much heart in this big finale. They knew what the fans wanted. They knew what the story needed. And coincidentally, it looks like it was the same shit. It was Maul being a bastard. It was Ahsoka having to survive Order 66, and it was Rex in more trauma than I think we'll ever see him in again. I love this episode. Shout out to those droids who died. Real heroes.
Will not be forgotten. Not be forgotten.
They are forgotten. What? One was GG.
R7, A5, GG, and
they're dead.
Yeah, not Chopper. R4. Yeah.
There would have been like another droid introduced for the series, like a Chopper character, and here they died to save Ahsoka. Well, that would have hurt me.
R7 is Ahsoka's astromech droid.
Oh shit! Did R7 die?
Yeah, R7 gets blaster to the head.
Oh, now I'm sad. I like R7.
Yeah. When Ahsoka is doing the Force Unleashed, holding back Maul's shuttle, R7 comes over to try and help and gets shot through the back of the head for it.
Oh, that is so sad.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was R2. Yeah, I love that moment where she's standing there. No, he's standing there, Darth Vader, looking at the lightsabers, looking at the little grave, and he just holds it. He lights the blue lightsaber. He just stands there for a minute, and then he turns it off. There is so much mythos and weight in the one action of, look at this gift I gave someone I care about. They're probably dead now. Turning it on, looking at it, and then just throwing it away to go down the dark path even deeper.
He just kept it, actually.
You know what I mean. He turned it off, he walked away. You know, deeper in the... Like, that's the equivalent of seeing a gun outside and then going, that's weird, and walking by.
But no, it's the equivalent of finding a gun that you yourself made and gave to someone else.
When they're probably dead. I wonder if... He's dead, too. I wonder if... I truly wonder if one of the reasons Anakin went after the ship was he was hoping to get Rex and, like, recruit him to the Empire. Because as far as Anakin knows, the ship went off and Rex is evil. So I don't know. I had always assumed like he probably assumed Ahsoka was dead. I always thought he was there to retrieve Rex.
Just thinking about it, we do know that Rex and Wolf and Gregor were in contact with the Empire as informants. They were giving them updates if they saw any Jedi and stuff, which they're our heroes, so they didn't actually do. In Rebels, we know they are in contact with the Empire, so I'm sure Anakin would have known if he wanted to look up where Rex was, he'd know. But we don't know exactly when those two things sync up, so I do like the idea that he was going there to look for Rex as well. Yeah.
I just wonder if, like, because Darth Vader's not gonna ignore a good soldier. I just wonder if, like, he would have taken Rex and been like, okay, you're a stormtrooper now.
Yeah, because Vader is still running with the 501st, just as stormtroopers now.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I think this was after when they, like, replaced all the clone troopers. And I feel like that when Rex and also when the Empire came in contact with Rex, I feel like that symbol of them being heroes of the Empire is them patronizing them.
Maybe it is. But what can I say? What can I say about something that works? It's great. It's wonderful. The acting in this is top notch. It's a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Let's just say it. 10 out, everyone at the same time. At the same time. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of
10 out of 10. We're all gonna 10 out of 10. I don't think it's. I don't know if it's perfect. It is pretty great.
Should we just get that out of the way right now? What is everyone's score, so we can then just go off and talk about how great it is?
If I'm being okay, looking at it objectively, it is probably a 10. I do love this movie. I love it a lot. This episode. I do think there are one or two errors with it, but they're so small. I guess the critic in me wants to go 9.5, but the adventure in me, the heartfelt farmer standing on a rock looking at two moons, I gotta give it a 10.
Nice. I'm also 10 out of 10, yeah.
I do think, I will say, in my opinion, it's only a 10 out of 10 when you look at everything that came before. Like, when you look at Revenge of the Sith, when you look at the whole show. On its own, I would say... Yeah, on its own, I would say a 9, just based on its own. But when you're looking at everything and that this is the end of the prequel trilogy, this marks the end, and then Bad Batch, I guess, marks the beginning of the sequel trilogy. It's a 10 out of 10 ending. They went out on a great note. So as an episode on its own, probably a 9 or an 8. But as an ending, it's 10.
May I say my rating and what my thoughts?
Of course.
No, not allowed.
I give this a 10 out of 10, of course. But I have one thing to say about Rex crying, and I'm gonna make a little comparison. Remember in The Force Awakens, this is kind of a similar situation. You know, a brainwashed soldier has to kill his fellow soldiers. But in The Force Awakens, Finn was like, shouting, "Did you see that? Did you see that? I just killed my fellow soldiers who felt brainwashed." But with Rex, he was broken down. He was like destroyed out of this. He was like absolutely destroyed. But compared to Finn, he was like excited. He was glad because to the creators of the sequel trilogy, they're just disposable stormtroopers, and that whole thing was just there for a reason. But with the Clone Wars, they really cared about the clones, and they really cared about how the clones mattered to people, and they cared about. And I say that this is better than the entire original trilogy and better than any movie in the saga, and that I really mean that. This whole show, every good thing about it, everything about it, and this is the ending to the franchise, in my opinion.
So Squid, That Jar Jar episode with the farts, it's better than Empire Strikes Back.
Doesn't matter. But this final
Just wanna
episode, is
confirm.
that better
I
than The
just
Empire
wanna-
Strikes Back?
I
So-
do
That's
really
all
like
that
this.
matters. The final episode.
The final episode. Specifically the final episode.
But the Jar Jar episode.
Doesn't matter. None of the bad stuff matters. It's all about the finale, and that means all the good stuff matters.
I
None
don't
bad.
ignore the bad, and I don't ignore the good. I take it all, sir. I do think my final rating for the episode, I gotta hold myself back here. I think it is going to be a 9. It's a great ending, but episode on its own, it's a 9, man. It's really good, and 9 is great. 9 is wonderful.
What are you saying, Neil?
You sure? So you're looking at it just standalone and ignoring everything else?
I'm trying my damnedest to. I think has an ending, it's magnificent. I think has its own episode, it's magnificent. I still hesitate ever so slightly because, like, okay, let's say you watch just this arc. This is great. This is amazing. You can kind of fill in the blanks. If you just watch this and Revenge of the Sith, you can know pretty much everything. However, I still hesitate just a little to say that it's perfect. Because I feel like, as a whole, like if I'm rating it as one thing, there were some slower moments here and there that hold it back a little. As a whole, I think I would give the thing 9 out of 10. As an ending, it is a 10 out of 10. And if I'm basing it on its own as its own episode, I do think probably a 9. However, I will acknowledge that as an ending, it's fucking perfect.
What a lot of contradictions here.
I'm a contradictory kind of guy, Cal.
Yeah, I know that much. Anyway,
Me too.
whose turn is it to preach about the finale next?
I believe it's
I'll have a
yours.
go.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Yours.
Darth Maul single-handedly brings down a Venator. He walks into a room, just starts ripping it apart, force crushing the hyperdrives, and then the ship comes falling out of hyperspace, and it does the red tints to hyperspace that they do in Rebels whenever something crashes out of it, and just the sudden cut-off of the music as it reappears in regular space, the trail of destruction frozen in place for that moment before the ship continues to blow up and everything continues to fall apart. The music, is it Kevin Keener or Kiner, who did the score for Clone Wars and did it for this last episode? The music here is so good. It opens with like an operatic choir reminiscent of like Qui-Gon. It's not the same track as Qui-Gon's funeral, but it's very close. Rather than your big bombastic, it opens with that instead. There's so many points when they open the hangar bay doors, and you just get a almost Hans Zimmer bwown as the ship is careening towards this moon looming, filling the screen. The score needs a shout out for this episode.
Oh, the music's
I'm
great.
saying it now before I forget. The music's
definitely
great.
Amazing.
Don't forget Ahsoka going on a Venator class Star Destroyer and then just going on the wreckage is like a video game character
Yeah.
would do.
Oh, yeah.
Which again,
It
we
was
saw
great.
her do the race down to Mandalore 3 episodes ago. We know
I
she's
would
capable
love
of
to
this.
play
It
this
doesn't
as a
feel
video
like it's out of anywhere. But yeah, it's so much more impressive.
So, Jack, I have a question.
Uh-oh.
You are giving this a 10 out of 10. You have already said that, which I think
Yes.
it's okay that we talk about ratings beforehand. You have not given anything else before a 10 out of 10. So I
Correct.
have to give you the question. Are you saying this is the best thing you've reviewed on Disney+Pals?
So far.
This episode, bearing in mind the rest of Star Wars with it. Yes.
Okay, you see, that's where I'm getting a little trapped, because I'm like, I love this episode. I don't think it is the best thing I've reviewed on the show. I think the best thing we've reviewed is probably Captain America, the First Avenger. Either that or Newsies. I really love Newsies, the Broadway musical. But
what about Toy Story 3? What about the...
I love this. You're right.
Anyway.
You were that.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to what you were saying, score being amazing.
Yeah, the music's great. That's the end of the statement on that. But then, sort of becoming almost the lead antagonist in this last episode, and no one's the bad guy here, which is the great thing. It's against their will. It's the episode in Rebels when they meet a group of droids and they have Rex, so it's sort of droids versus the clones. And Ezra brings up, so if you guys didn't win the war, who did? And they leave that there. Palpatine, he's the only winner here. This entire conflict...
It's exactly what Julius Caesar did.
We see all these personal interactions here. He was the villain, he's the winner of the Clone Wars. But here, filling the leader now that Rex has joined Ahsoka, we have Jesse, who, as we've seen before, and on his helmet he has I want to say Empire, but it's not the Empire.
The Republic symbol. The Republic.
Yes, he's got the Republic logo.
Jedi symbol.
He has the Republic logo on his helmet. He has the Republic logo tattooed on his face. He is incredibly loyal to this cause. So even when Rex is trying to reason with him, and yes, the chip you have to bear in mind as well, he's very much doesn't say the line, but good soldiers follow orders. It's like, you said it yourself, sir. We have specific orders to take out Ahsoka and Maul. Which is, again, a great little bit, because Ahsoka's not a Jedi, so would that technically work? They bring that up.
Yeah,
Palpatine wants Maul out of the way.
He left
ordered to kill him as well.
She left the Jedi Order, so technically she's not a Jedi, but they want to kill her anyway. Maybe Palpatine fears that Ahsoka will bring Anakin back to the light, or they're better safe than sorry, or something like that.
Or a new enemy.
I honestly think... I think Callum nailed it. I think it was fear that Ahsoka could ruin all this. Like, honestly, if there was anybody left that could have reached out to Anakin, now that Padme's dead and Obi-Wan is gone, it was Ahsoka. Although she tries in Rebels and well, that doesn't go too well.
One more time has passed by
but
no order to kill Ahsoka. Ahsoka, again, like I said before, deflecting the blaster bolts up to make an escape, throwing out the lightsabers and using the Force to spin them around to cut a hole down for her and Rex to escape to the lower hangar. It's so well thought out, of course, the Starkiller bit, trying to hold back Maul, but then Ahsoka decides to let him go to help Rex so the two of them can get away. It's great, and I need to say this. The final 6 minutes of this episode have no dialogue whatsoever. But the last line spoken is like Rex saying, "Come on." And that's before the Y-Wing drops down and out. From that moment, there's no more dialogue. It's entirely the visuals and the music. All the way through from the moment they leave the Venator. It's crazy to do that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. After that scene where he's crying, does Rex ever take his helmet off again?
Right at the very end when he... in my memory, I feel like he's not wearing it when he's in the Y-Wing, but I know he's definitely not wearing it right at the end when it's him walking back and puts up the shovel. He's not wearing it at the end there, when they've just buried everyone.
Okay, so he wasn't wearing it when he had the shovel?
No, he's not wearing it once they buried everyone.
Now, see, I was thinking that, like, there was a little bit of symbolism there where he put on the helmet after, like, crying. Like, he took out the helmet to cry and let out his emotion, but then after that, he was like, helmet's on, I'm a soldier, I gotta do this. But, like, when grieving the dead, it's interesting that... Well, it's interesting that, like, you know, to compare him to Jesse. Because Jesse, at this point, he's gone. He's good soldiers follow orders. He's no longer Jesse. He is the Empire's tool. And it's so neat to hear like Rex try to talk some sense into him and him to just go, Commander Rex, I'm ordering you. And it's so sad to think that like if they would have had to kill Rex and Ahsoka after they did it, they would have just returned back to like the Empire and nothing would have been lost. Meanwhile, Rex buried every single one of them. It's heartbreaking. That's sort of
that's
my
the thing as
thought.
well. It's a Venator. Think how many 100 clones are on that thing. They only managed to bury like 40 something. It's like 44, 45. They only buried the ones they could find. Think how many more clones are dead in there. They just couldn't get to. It's an amazing shot to end the show.
Next time we see Rex, he is literally like a space hermit at first. And I think he deserved it. Like I honestly think that Rex, after dealing with all of the bullshit he did, and probably the thought in his head that he could have been one of these people. And had it not been for Ahsoka, he would have been. I would love to see Rex followed up with this. Like, he's the character I'm hoping to see most in Bad Batch now. With, like, knowing this. Like, I want to see Cody. I want to see Rex. I want to see Cad Bane. I just want more Rex, because he's such an interesting character. And this show really holds true to that.
You should also
Like
mention the fact that Rex and some of the others said that we've got mixed feelings about the wars. If it wasn't for the wars, we wouldn't even exist.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like how the prequels, if it weren't for the prequels, we wouldn't exist. Or the EU, or like the Old Republic, they wouldn't exist either.
I mean, it's something to think about, because literally Dave Filoni, like, retconned it. Rex fought on freaking Endor, on the Forest Moon of Endor.
Love that. I know there's people still disagree with that change. I love that change.
I love that retcon. I love that Rex.
Me too.
Fought.
Me too. I love that.
I love it. I adore this character, and honestly, that's probably my favorite Star Wars retcon ever. Just the fact that fucking Captain Rex got to fight alongside Luke Skywalker.
We got to see the end of the Galactic Civil War. Yeah.
And this is like his finest moment. This is like one of his best appearances. So, I guess that's a 39 out of 40.
Yeah.
That's the highest thing we've ever given anything. I haven't even gotten to my preaching yet.
I know. I'm going to summarize my next 3 pages.
Keep going, then.
Just say.
It's so beautiful! The Venator crashing down through the clouds and the wreckage of it, the black scar it leaves behind it in the clouds and on the ground is amazing. The great imagery again of all the buried clones, all the ones they could find. What you were saying, Neil, about Rex taking off his helmet there to cry. He doesn't. He's talking to Ahsoka and being like, we gotta do what we gotta do, and she can hear it in his voice that he's starting to cry, so she takes off the helmet to console him a bit there. She can tell her friend is hurting so much there. It's great. Yes, okay, skipping forward. The fade to it's one of those great things that is such an iconic ship, just the Imperial shuttle coming down, that as soon as that's on screen, you know there's been a time jump. Which I love that, and then you see the snowtroopers and the stormtroopers and the probe droid or whatever it is. Vader, you get a wide shot looking down on the tip of the Venator, and this little black dot in the white walking towards the maw of this ship. And then, yes, picking up the saber. I do love that you can see his eyes through the helmets, and I love, again, they redesigned the helmets, one for the Clone Wars style, and two to make him look a little more sympathetic. People have done like hour-long breakdowns of just this last Vader bit. It's crazy. But yeah, they changed the angle on the helmet and everything so he doesn't look as angry. So you can still see a bit more of
Yeah,
Anakin
they
in
try to
that.
simplify it towards the kids, but I feel like that. Why fix what's not broken?
I think artistic interpretation and it's animation. You can get away with this stuff.
Do you guys
it's great.
want to hear Neil reads too far into things about this scene?
Go for it. Yeah.
So, I thought when I watched this, and I guarantee you this might not be what they intended when making it. I noticed that in the scene, Rex is finishing burying the bodies. He walks over to Ahsoka, who is wearing, she's wearing some warm clothes. She's not freezing her ass off. Juxtaposed with Vader standing alone, looking at the lightsaber, looking at what he lost, cold and metal. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a little dichotomy where it was Ahsoka, the one who learned from this guy, stood there with a friend, hurting at the end of the Clone Wars. Hurting, but alive, and warm and ready to move on with her friend, while Anakin was standing there, cold, covered in metal, looking at gift he for a friend that he left behind, and he just takes that with him and walks away. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
Really amazing, actually, Neil, because when you think about it, Ahsoka is learning from her experiences, and she's letting go of her past.
Yeah.
And Anakin, as Darth Vader, can't let that go, apparently, so he keeps the past.
He literally needs to hate in order for his powers to be at full capacity. And yet Ahsoka just walks away. It's something. But go ahead.
Just the last note I have.
The last thing, Jack.
Happy birthday, Ezra! Yay! All this is going down, and meanwhile, that child is born on Lothal. Just, yeah, it's a big universe.
And also, don't forget, happy birthday, Luke and Leia.
3 days later.
Wait, I should have. Oh yeah.
They were born 3 days after Empire Day.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm done. Throw away the notebook. Callum, it's all you.
All right, here we go. Gloves are off. So, this episode, as we pointed out, starts off like Victory and Death. That alone's a striking title. And the choir singing and people are breaking in all throughout. This is intense. Even if you know they're going to survive, you're on the edge of your seat. You want the best possible outcome, even though it's not going to happen.
These feet are now. Oh.
And clones are trying to break in, and they're trying to find a way out. And then eventually, as the ship is crashing, the clones are blocking their way out. It's go out in a blaze of glory or die. And we've already mentioned the heartbreak. Don't worry, Brooks, I'll cut that out. Yeah. They try their best to seek a pacifistic way to dispose of the clone. They literally activate these floor panels to make the clone like whoa, blah. And of course there's a shout out to Ahsoka being a Padawan, not a Jedi, but try as they may, everything just gets too chaotic, and there's a big climax moment of Ahsoka just jumping from debris to debris, trying to and you're just on your head to come on, catch the ship, catch it, Jenny, catch it. And she grabs on, and then you don't there's no breather until the very end. But even without the action, it's heartbreaking. If I were to describe this whole episode in one other word, it would be haunting. This haunts you. I remember Brooks telling me this would haunt him for the rest of his life, and yeah, this is one of the most striking finales I have ever seen. In fact, this TV finale is so good. I would rate it up there with like Gravity Falls and Cowboy Bebop. It wrapped up all loose ends. The characters had their moments, and especially with Cowboy Bebop, it ends at the perfect moment to just make you go, "Oof, you're gonna carry that weight."
I was gonna say.
It's very weighty. And as someone who loves visual storytelling, 6 minutes were perfect. And there's weight. Yeah, I don't think I could describe anything beyond that. Weight. Ahsoka is carrying that weight because what happened during this scenario, even though it was Palpatine who ordered Order 66, as we've already established, is all her fault. She let Maul on the loose. She tried to save the clones, but failed. And when you look at the Clone Wars as a whole, all these Clone Wars were as loyal as they were to the very end. And even though they're resting in peace now, they all died practically for nothing. They were bred and they were the victims. And thematically speaking, we've already seen this event from the perspective of Anakin and Obi-Wan and a majority of other characters in various bits of media. In Clone Wars, we've not only seen Anakin and Obi-Wan as the main protagonists, but we've also been introduced to Ahsoka and Rex and all the other clones, and we've stuck with them very closely. Even though there have been some other episodes that focus on other characters like Asajj Ventress and Yoda and Cad Bane and all the rest, you can tell that the majority of these episodes were focusing on Ahsoka and the clones because, well, they don't really appear much on video, and this is their home base, as it were. So, thematically speaking, what better way to end off the show than to have Order 66 from the perspective of these new protagonists, Ahsoka and the clones. And this is the Clone Wars, so we should see how the clones were dispatched, I suppose. And we see Ahsoka has come a long way since becoming a young Padawan, just soaking this all in, Ahsoka-ing this all in, and all those helmets, people they knew, just plonked those helmets, and it's so sad because they literally painted their helmets in honor of her. Again, that beginning does have some significance. And she sees the lightsabers as a gift, and she lets go, and this last bit is just these characters just... we see these characters in their own way saying goodbye to the Clone Wars. Ahsoka's way of doing it, letting go of the lightsaber gifts and moving on. And then, of course, I've got to give a brief mention to the music. The music really does add to the haunting tone. I mean, you could have had stuff like, the typical Star Wars, like, sort of thing, or something like hopeful. Here they go for something I honestly have a bit of a soft spot for in terms of music. It was appeared in like Soul. It's sort of this long kind of Hans Zimmer-y, you know what I mean? It's those long sort of ethereal kind of tones that makes for a really reflective mood. And then, of course, we cut to the snow. We don't even need much to get to know that Anakin's turned into Darth Vader. The breathings and the black silhouette's all you need. It's so iconic. And of course, the whole thing about him finding the lightsaber, we see his eye, and then the bird, which is symbolic if you Star Wars fans are paying attention. Then, oh man, this last image is so striking. I think I'm the one to perfectly analyze this, because I think this final image perfectly summarizes not only the entire tragedy of this episode, but the entire tragedy of all the Clone Wars. And as Brooke said, it perfectly personifies Clone Wars as a whole. That's like this epic tragedy. I mean, sure, you can see the majority of the episodes like,
aha, fun shenanigans. Oh, what did Anakin and Obi-Wan gonna do this time?
Look underneath it. It's a story about the gradual turning of Anakin to the dark side. So this final image is an Ahsoka painted clone helmet on the ground. On the reflection of the visor, Darth Vader is walking away from the scene. So there is so much that could be said just from a single image. I mean, I gotta give props to whoever thought that image. You are a genius. Like, that could
That's probably Dave
symbolize.
Filoni, definitely.
Yeah, indeed. So this is Vader walking away from the Clone Wars, saying goodbye to the Clone Wars. This is also symbolizes how the clones fought for nothing. This also symbolizes.
But I have something to say. Can I say something, Calum?
Very briefly, please. Yes.
Those clones did not die for nothing because Luke avenged all of them by redeeming Vader and then getting revenge on Palpatine for all the nothingness, and then brought peace to the galaxy. So that really shows that the original trilogy matters, and that Return of the Jedi matters, and that there was hope at the end for everyone who died in the Clone Wars. He will avenge us. He will bring balance.
Well, here's the thing. You can avenge somebody all you want. They're still dead. I think Cal still has a point. I think in the grand scheme of things, had the Jedi realized what was going on and saved the clones, those people could have lived lives. And even from the beginning, even the fact that they have, like, accelerated aging, the clones were always tools, even to the good people. Granted, some of the Jedi connected to them, but they were always meant to be tools, which makes their death all the more tragic.
Yeah. Especially when you... Sorry, Neil.
Well, especially when you consider that, like, you know, some of them had to, like, kill their friends. And, like, the ones under the mind control, ironically enough, kind of got the better end of the deal because, like, they didn't know what they were doing was wrong. They were mind controlled. Meanwhile, Rex, every day of his life now, has to live with the fact that he had to kill some of his, like, friends, his brothers, and that's going to haunt him forever. I think we're going to see stuff like that in Bad Batch, too. I'm just so pumped by the ideas that this finale displays.
Yeah, so to wrap it up, the final image could also represent Anakin saying goodbye to the Clone Wars, his relationship with Ahsoka despite taking the lightsaber, his relationship with the light side temporarily, with his relationship with the clone troopers and Ahsoka. This could also represent Anakin's final steps to darkness with the visor. It could also represent how the lightsaber was neglected and forgotten and put into the snow. Either way you look at it, that helmet represented all that was good and bright during this time, and now he's letting that all go in favor of hatred. But of course, as Brooks pointed out, hope would come back again in the form of Luke Skywalker. But I could go on and on about just that final image. Again, Dave Filoni and other people who came out with that image. That is one of the most amazingly striking images. Like, if you could tell, like, even if I never heard of this arc, chances are, if I just saw this single image, even if I didn't know what was happening, I think I would get a vague idea. That image is going to stay with me. That's all I have to say. Oh, as well as the music.
Stay with me too.
I wish I could know. Sorry, I got a sore throat. I wish I could know what's going on in Vader's head during that scene. Like, is he grieving Ahsoka? Is he happy that the job is done? What is he feeling? And, like, I don't think we'll ever know, and quite frankly, I don't think we're supposed to know. I think we're all supposed to come up with our own guesses. Which is why, once again, it's such a striking scene. But is that all we have to say about Clone Wars, the finale?
That's all I have.
Yes, I think that is.
So, this now is going down in Disney+Pals history as the highest rated thing so far. It's going to take a lot to beat this. I hear car noises. What the fuck is happening?
Brooks is traveling.
You can leave if you need to, Brooks. But let us go into final questions. And I think this one is the most fitting. With the Bad Batch out, and the return of some familiar characters in Clone Wars, the discussion will probably be in the air of what comes next, what comes after Bad Batch. So my question is, what timeline or what character would you like to see a Star Wars story about? Whether it be a movie, a TV show, or an animated series, who would you like to see get some screen time?
So a
Or
character
when
and
would-
when? Or, oh, okay, and or.
A character or when? Like, for example, you
Definitely
want to
not
go, I
Red,
want to see
because
the teenager. That's an answer. I think my answer, and I've answered this quite a bit. If you follow some of the extended lore, Bosk, who is the reptile bounty hunter, he kind of ends up becoming a surrogate father to Boba Fett. So I would love to see a Bosk and Boba animated show where it's Bosk training him, raising him, and he becomes like the greatest bounty hunter. And plus, I would just turn that into a bounty hunter show. I would throw Dengar in there. I would make references to some of the familiar Mandalorians we know of. Maybe not Din Djarin himself, but, you know, we could see that armorer, perhaps. I would love to see just a bounty hunter show with this sort of angle of Bosk is raising Boba. And to be fair,
bring
you
in Grief
have a
Karga,
lot
you
of-
can have Carl Weathers.
Oh,
running
I'd love
guilds.
that.
So it's basically Cowboy Bebop with a Star Wars theme.
But not Mandalorian.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we do already have a lot of Star Wars properties, which are now, these guys gotta raise a kid. With Bad Batch and Mando. But I think with Bosk, it's interesting because Bosk is not a good dude. He's a bad guy. So I want to see the story where he decides, okay, I will raise this kid. I will take care of him. And I want to see how the fact that he's like this cold-hearted reptile man plays into Boba Fett eventually becoming the greatest bounty hunter in the world, because he is cold.
Galaxy, you mean?
Yeah, he is cold. He is calculated, and I want to see that. I want to see where Boba Fett, this like kid, who even in Clone Wars we see him sometimes be like, "Oh, maybe we can do good things." I want to see him go from that to this cold-heartedness that only Bosk could give him. So for me, it would be Bosk and Boba. I would love to see that show.
Out of curiosity,
May I go next?
just a quick follow-up on Neil's thing there. Would you have that be set after Clone Wars, or would you do a bit of an overlap there? Because we get a bit of the Bosk-Boba dynamic throughout that when they're both in jail during the Reiko Hardeen Obi-Wan undercover bits, and Bosk stands up and fights back for Boba. He's sort of, the two of them are sort of sticking together through that. Would you?
I would. This is how I would start the show. I would do an intro where we get a flashback to, Boba, that one female bounty hunter whose name I cannot remember, and
Aurora
Bosk
Singh.
working together. Yeah, Aurora Singh. This seems to be the first time the two left because Bosk straight up ditches Boba, but yet later in jail, he does defend him. He's like, you mess with Boba, you mess with me. I want to see what happens in between that. So I would start with that scene where Bosk runs away, and then I'd cut to them both in prison. Boba chews him out for it, and then eventually I want to see how they connect. I would love to see the story of, I was going to leave you for dead, but now I'm going to raise you as if you're my own. I think it's cool. I think that playing with a character that is, for all intents and purposes, a bad guy taking this role could potentially be a little more interesting than Mando, because Mando's the hero. Mando's always going to do the right thing. Bosk isn't. And I am sure there would be times where Bosk is like, fuck the kid. I don't want to take care of him. Fuck this. I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Especially for like...
May I go?
Brooks.
You may go, Brooks.
Well, to be honest, I think that I really don't want any more Star Wars content. I think that it should have just ended right here with the Clone Wars, and maybe just let this dead franchise maybe just die without the creators out of the franchise. It's not in the creators' hands anymore. I think it just die right here, and maybe because maybe it's just for the best. And also, I feel like the Disney trilogy doesn't even count. I mean, I feel like it should just end right here. And also, I have to go after this, but that's my final thoughts.
To be fair, I was comparing this finale to Cowboy Bebop, and Cowboy Bebop is a story where, unlike a lot of anime shows, it didn't continue on as a long-running franchise. It's a fairly brief series, and when it ended on such a perfect note. So I see where you're coming from there.
Well,
I see where he's coming from, and if you want to go, Brooks, you can go.
Thanks.
Like you need to go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ben. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
How dare he? Yeah, no, I want more Star Wars. I want Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah.
I mean 3. I think that I understand this. I understand the sentiment. It's the in-game debate all over again. I understand looking at something and going, you know what? That's a good ending. That's a good place to stop. The first episode of Bad Batch was amazing.
Yeah.
And the idea of, no, I don't want that. No! Give!
And if you're just counting the Disney live-action stuff, that means you're ignoring Rogue One as well, which in my opinion is probably the best live-action Star Wars film.
I mean, it's definitely one of my favorites. I
think there is validity to that argument, and the endgame being the end argument as well. But with the endgame example, that's not even the end of Phase 4. If you stopped it there, we wouldn't have got Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. That's amazing. I think you can take it, and it's a train journey. You can hop off at any point.
That's exactly the analogy.
I'm in for the long haul, boys.
That's exactly the analogy that Neil used.
Yep.
I swear I haven't seen that video. Which also, no offense, I haven't seen all your videos.
No, it's okay. You're right. I think it's just like, I'm not surprised you came up with the same analogy because I think it's the best way to view this. It's a train. If you want to get off at the next stop, you can. But personally, it's a pretty good train. I like this train. I will stay with Star Wars. And
as for me, I mean, as long as they're willing to make good quality stories, by all means, make more stuff. But other than making good stories, which I'm all for, I don't know if there's much of a point to making more of these stories because maybe they could have been developed in, I don't know, video games or books, or obviously we're talking about like television shows and movies. But I suppose if you were to point a gun at me and say, what do you want depicted from Star Wars as a movie or television adaptation? It's a bit hard for me to think because the whole, prequel trilogy, Rogue One, Clone Wars, original trilogy, that's a fantastic epic in its own right. However, I think I do have an idea. I would actually like to see how Palpatine rose to power. It could be like this sort of Joker-esque sort of standalone movie where we see Palpatine in his younger years, how he got so tempted to the dark side, presumably training under Darth Plagueis, and how he got into his political power. That would be interesting for me to see, honestly.
I agree. I think that with Palpatine, I would be a little nervous because the second we learned the backstory of Anakin, it was like, oh, he's not cool anymore. So I'd be a little scared if that happened to Palpatine. But I'm with you. I'd love to see Darth Plagueis the Wise. I'd love to see some more Sith-focused stuff, because even though we do get a lot of Sith stuff, we never have had just a solid, fully Sith story in terms of the movies.
If you're going to depict a younger Palpatine, I recommend finding some actor who can greatly imitate a younger, like Ian McDiarmid, still have the convincing character development, but going for the occasional hamminess every now and then.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes.
As young Palps. And that's the movie. It's called Palps. By the way, fun fact, do you know Palpatine's first name, Callum? I think it's the stupidest shit.
I don't think I do.
It's not Emperor before that.
It's Sheaf. His first name is Sheaf Palpatine.
Sheaf Palpatine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's so dumb. Friggin' Anakin's mom has a weird name too. I can't remember her name.
Shmi.
Yeah, Shmi.
That's a weirder first name.
Every time I hear it, I think of Captain Hook going, Mr. Shmi!
Nice.
But do you have an answer, Jack?
Yes. I want this, but I either want it as like a limited series, like a Captain Winter Soldier 6 episodes, or it needs to be done well, because it could get over the top very quickly. I want Hondo Ohnaka running Batuu. The Star Wars land at Disneyland is on the planet Batuu. It's something or other's Edge. It's called Galaxy's Edge or something. Black Spire Outpost. That's it. It's this little like smugglers pirate town, and Hondo's in charge. It's his own little kingdom. I want that. I love Hondo.
I changed my answer.
I love Hondo so much. I'm like, I'm in Scotland. Well, I'm not in Scotland. I'm in the UK, but I really want to go there just to see. They've got like a life-size Hondo animatronic there. It's one of their like A1000 series or something that talks. It walks. It's amazing.
Fun fact, I've been there.
I know, and I'm so envious.
I've seen the animatronic. It's as glorious as you think it is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm right there with you. I would love to see the little references to the theme park itself. I would love to see Hondo going on some adventures, and I would love it if like it kind of fucks with other people, like in the universe. Like, oh, we have a mission with Chewbacca this week. We've got a mission where we got to hang out with Captain Rex.
Because there's a lot of fun things you can do that. Because then you have like Doc Ondar's, I think it is the like gift shop area there, and on the wall like there's this whole comic that goes into it. On the wall in that shop that you can go to, they have Ki-Adi-Mundi's lightsaber, and there's this whole story of how it went from there to. I think Greedo had it for a little bit and presented it to Jabba, and it went from Jabba to. There's so much you could do with it, but if you focused it just on Hondo, perhaps even Hondo like regaling you with stories or something, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I would love to see like Hondo's Tall Tales or something. Like either has a series of shorts or like a comedy show. I would love it because
I've just had a thought. If I worked for Disney or something, I'd 100% pitch this idea. You do it as like Hondo's Tall Tales. You do again a limited series of them or shorts or something, and you do it like the Louise explanations in Ant-Man, where it's just Jim Cummings, it's just Hondo voicing all the characters and everything, telling it as if he's telling it. Because then you just need the one actor that way. That'll massively save on the budget.
And you don't know if he's like telling a real story or not.
He could just be making all this up.
So this is the time I hang out with Lando Calrissian.
And it's about Ezra, because you know that's...
I would love that. Dude, I want this.
That's my pitch.
Happen. I'm right there with you. Guys, that has been Star Wars Clone Wars episodes. Well, you know,
Last four.
Finale. Yeah. Now, before we leave, and before we do plugs, last time I streamed, we made a little decision that we were going to do a themed month after Loki was done, because we're getting close to Loki. So, after Loki is done, we will be doing the show for one whole month, completely random. I have a pretty complete list of everything on Disney+. We have a couple randomizers. What we're going to do, I will be chucking the list into a randomizer, and then Jack will be picking a number between 1 and 1006. Then, whatever that number is, we will review that item, whether it be a documentary, a musical, or some old shit we know nothing about. Now, in the event it's a short, we'll review the entire series of shorts, and also, in the event it is a TV show that gets picked, Callum will pick a random number for the season and a random number for the episode. And in the super impossibly unlikely event that we get the same thing twice, we will literally just look at the list and pick something at random. Because you guys wanted randomness. Also, next week we will be reviewing Cher's pick. This was the last episode with Squid for a little bit.
Drum roll.
So, we will be reviewing the Disney Channel movie, Lemonade Mouth.
Yes! Oh, I love that movie. Yes, okay.
I also like Lemonade Mouth.
Lemonade Mouth. I've yet to see that, I think.
Literally, Cher did a game with me where she was like, I bet you can't guess it. And I was like, you're really into the Disney Channel, and this is a movie that's full of Disney Channel stars? I pick this. And she was like, you got it in one guess. I fucking hate you. And I was like, good. But yeah, we'll be doing Lemonade Mouth. It's unfortunate that High School Musical was an option and we chose not to do it. One day. But now you know our plans for the next couple. And I guess I better say right here, Melissa will be in the Loki cast, and my friend Pat, who people have been saying I need to put in these videos, will be in the Black Widow cast. Also, I have our amazing artist Maddie working on some art for these episodes, so hopefully they'll look a little prettier soon.
Nice.
But everybody go on, plug yourselves. Start with you, Jack.
All right. You can find me at Jack of All Trades on YouTube. Currently, again, I'm busy with university stuff at the moment, so I'm just covering My Hero Academia. But as soon as that's done, as soon as I'm finished with university, I'm going to be dipping in some other anime, some other shows. The Demon Slayer movies just come out, and I'll be hoping to go see that and share my thoughts on that. And I'll be delving in some Bad Batch if you like Star Wars. So please head over there and check me out if any of that sounds in the slightest bit interesting.
Callum, your turn.
Scott Meyer, you will find me on YouTube. You will find me on Stardust as Scott's Wizard. You will find me on Instagram as KelmaCritXD. And I have my own art website up and running. If you go to my art channel, you'll probably find a link to my art channel where you can see my artworks on full display.
Link in the description below.
Yeah, that'll work too. Yeah.
And of course, you can find me on this channel, hopefully very soon with my personal Winter Soldier review. I've been putting that off for a while I'm learning editing software, but I think I've reached the point where I'm just like, fuck it, I'll shoot it tomorrow. Be ready, because during the month of June, we will be doing E3 reaction videos. But if you don't want to wait for that stuff, just head over to Twitch, where I will be streaming Pretty often. I try to do it at least 3 times a week. Where if you have any questions about these reviews, I can answer them more casually. So please, by all means, head over there. We do have to end on a joke now, but I actually wanted to bring something up because it's a reference to something we talked about before. And I guess it's a good joke to end on because we can probably make fun of it. Muppets Haunted Mansion has a synopsis now.
Oh, okay.
It is a Halloween special.
Makes sense.
They haven't confirmed the length, but it will consist of Gonzo being dared to go spend a night in the Haunted Mansion. We don't know if it's the California one or the Florida one. And then hijinks ensue.
Okay.
So I have to assume Gonzo is going to die. Gonzo is going to die in the Haunted Mansion, and he's going to become the 1000th ghost. That's what's going to happen. Anyone disagree? We all agree Gonzo's dead?
If they put in effort, yes, but equally, I'm a little concerned by the Gonzo gets dared to it, that they're just going to do Gonzo riding the ride.
Oh, that would be so dumb.
It's a cool ride. As someone who's never been on it, I would happily watch. But there's so much more you could do with it. So I hope they go the more creative route.
I want them to kill Gonzo.
When Gonzo is a ghost, he'll be more alive than he was with us. Oh!
Maybe once he's dead, he'll get a personality.
Very nice.
Gonzo's fucking dead, confirmed though. Later. All right, good recording.
Yes, good.
And